5, 4, 3, 2, 1. KenCast.
Hey everyone, welcome to a very special KenCast. I hope you're doing really well today. I know I am. It's been an amazing week. We've have so much new stuff to talk about as far as Cobra Kai, and we're going to do that today. Today, we're going to go in depth into the new trailer, and we're going to have a fun conversation where you can join in and tell us your thoughts. And we'll go frame by frame through the trailer and just kind of relax and see all the details that we can pick out. So in order to do that today, I have brought on a very special guest. You recognize him. He's been on KenCast a number of times. He is co-host of the Last Row podcast. Drew Rohaly, welcome. Thank you for joining us today, Drew.
Thanks. I said this last time, Yami, but I mean it every time. It's a pleasure, man. Thank you so much for inviting me on. And I love talking about Terry Silver. Anytime I have an opportunity to share the love of Terry Silver, it's it's a good day. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's an honor to have you. And the great thing is you love Terry Silver. I love Terry Silver. And so many people watching this love Terry Silver too. So we can't wait to hear from all of you today. We are going to go through this trailer. I'm excited to hear Drew's thoughts on this because he is part of the Terry Silver Brain Trust. He has expansive knowledge of the Karate Kid universe going back decades. And so if you have a question for Drew or a thought for Drew, please let us know in the chat. And good to see you, Ben.
Hey, Ben.
Great to see you, Robana.
Hi, Robana.
Robana says, hi, Drew.
Hey.
And then talking Cobra Kai, it was awesome to meet you at the event. RJ, is this RJ? Amazing to meet everyone at the event. And then okay, we're gonna get back to the Steam.
I have so many thoughts, Mr. Tim, on that. I have so many thoughts.
We are gonna get into it today. So keep it coming with the comments. And the first thing is we're gonna just talk about all the great news that has happened just this past week.
KenCast News.
Okay.
It never gets old, man.
oh, that's good. Well, hey, news never gets old, right? As long as it's not the same thing all over again. So the big thing, I think the main reason everyone's probably watching right now is we have a brand new season 5 trailer for Cobra Kai. This is incredible. And the release date is September 9th. Okay, this was just a shock. And we're going to get into this. I was at the Cobra Kai Live and Badass show on Thursday. And when that trailer popped up and at the end of it, it said September 9th, I think I heard cheers and gasps. No one, well, there are a few people, we might have one in a little bit, who predicted that it would be kind of in the fall. But I don't know about you, Drew. I thought this was going to release around New Year's again.
I had a feeling the same. I was actually really excited to see the date. And, I think when you did the stream with Peter previously, I was wondering, I think I put a question in the chat. Do you think anything related to Netflix and the press around that may push them to maybe release it a little earlier? I forgot one of the big three made a comment about like, hey, we've been accelerated to September, which is amazing. So
really?
We get it right in the fall. I think I saw there was a tweet or something, and I don't know if they meant it intentionally, but it was something where I saw on Twitter where it looked like it was, but I can't believe it. It's only like what, a few months away. It's insane.
Oh, it's incredible. Mr. Tim says we're extremely lucky to be getting the show on September 9th. We must have been very good this year. That's a good point because Drew, Cobra Kai fans like us, there was a long stretch before we got season 3, long stretch. It was over a year. Wasn't it almost 2 years?
It was a big gap. And I feel like the wait was so long. And then when you finally got season 3 and season 4, now it's like that short period in between. Like I remember doing the epic live stream with you not that long ago. And it was only a few months, it feels like. And, we got to binge that show and watch it multiple times. And here we are again, ready to watch the next season. I'm so excited.
Absolutely. I'm super excited too. And we're going to talk about that event a little bit, that Live and Badass event. We've got, let's see, Robana, thank you for live tweeting on Thursday, Ken. You're very welcome, guys. I thought about doing that at the very last minute, and I tried to get all the info out because I know people were frustrated, like you, Drew. I'm sure you would like to go, but it's just
Yeah.
like only in the LA area, and so hopefully they go to more areas and stuff. But yeah, definitely. My pleasure for live tweeting. Here, let me show you what we found at that event. Look at this. This is me with Drew, the Cobra Kai
Hey,
kid.
that's awesome.
Finally got to meet Drew. It was really amazing. Really cool. He's a great guy. Maybe hopefully we'll have him on KenCast someday. And then Cobra Kai Nation. This is Shamoon, so I got to meet him. I got to meet RJ, Ben, we'll get to Karen in a second, and lots of other. Oh, and Brian. I sat next to Brian. All these great people that I met for the first time. You guys might be watching right now. So it was really great to meet all you guys. Okay, this is before the show. This is me and Kara Ann Marie. I was interviewing her. She plays Sue of the All Valley Committee. She is super nice. She is so great and hilarious. Go on Instagram, check my Instagram or Cobra Kai Companion's Instagram, and watch that interview. It's a lot of fun. And she has a new show called Florida Man coming out this summer. And then we got into the event, and look, this is how they kind of had the stage set up. You had sort of the blue, I don't know if you can tell, but there's like the blue All Valley mat underneath couches, that almost look like LaRusso family couches in a way. And then on the right side of the screen is the band. So Leo and Zach, the composers for the show, were there with their band playing Cobra Kai music, which is amazing. And then in the back, you can kind of see it's a dojo. It's like a Cobra Kai dojo, but you have the banners for Miyagi-Do, Eagle Fang, and Cobra Kai.
I like that all three are represented.
Yeah, no kidding, right? It's really fantastic. So it was a great show. This is just a shot from the show. You had all these people on, like all the cast, and you see John, Josh, and Hayden, and Yuji is walking out. He was a surprise guest. So really fantastic show. And then we've got and then I got to meet Courtney Hengler. She was just absolutely fantastic.
That's cool.
With all the fans. Super funny, super talented. So I mean, that was just really a great thing. But of course, the main thing is all these announcements. Actually, Robana says they really need to start up Cobra Kai conventions with Creation Entertainment. That would be awesome. Drew, would you be interested in going to Cobra Kai conventions or conventions with Cobra Kai fans?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool. It's a cool community, right? I think as you've seen on the community that you've built here and that have joined here, there's other great podcasts and shows. I know Peter's out there too. Like, just there's such a great fandom, and I think it's so cool to meet all of the different people that share the same passions. I'm a movie buff, just as you guys know, but there's something about this universe of characters and something that just brings out such a fun I don't know, it's just so fun, and everyone is so passionate about it, and I think it's cool. I mean, most of the stuff that you guys have been a part of has been out on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast, so for me, it's been really difficult to watch from a distance. I can't really go, but if there's something like up in New York or somewhere in Philadelphia, I'm kind of in between the both. I would definitely be down to go to one of those. It's such a cool universe of characters and fans.
Absolutely. And I don't know about you, but watching the series kind of at home on streaming, it's like you don't get a sense of just how many people are watching with you.
Yeah.
And then when you go to an event like this, it's like, wow, all these people are real. All you guys watching this are real. Like, thank you guys for watching this right now. It's wonderful that you're watching this. And I'm glad that we can connect this way because we might not see you in everyday life. So hopefully we can all meet at an event in the future. Strife the Warrior asks, Ken, I got a question. When are we creating that tag team? Yes, that would be amazing. We definitely need to do that tag team. And Courtney is like one of the best people of all time. So, Drew, you've seen this trailer. Okay, you might have seen it multiple times.
Maybe.
And everyone in the chat, everyone who's seen this trailer, give us your thoughts. But Drew, tell me what you thought after you watched that trailer for season 5.
First, you already touched on this, but how quickly it's coming to us, which was like the first thing that really stood out. But the thing that I I'll try to articulate and try to keep the excitement tamed a little bit, but everyone knows I'm a Terry Silver fanboy, Thomas Ian Griffith fanboy. Watching that sort of fulfilled this it's gonna sound silly, but the dream of sort of seeing Terry become who I think he would be, we got that from Karate Kid 3 back in 1989, and
Yes.
as that came out, we were anticipating this from season 1 through 3. We finally got the phone call at the end, and then we got Terry in season 4, and I think I'm on record of saying this, I had so many emotional ups and downs when I was watching season 4. I wasn't really sure where they were going with Terry because in my own headcanon, I always assumed he was sort of like the big bad over Kreese. And watching that weird power dynamic of the last season and the way that the creators and the showrunners took us through that emotional roller coaster. And then with the ending of season 4, I think I said I stood out of my chair and kind of cheered. Seeing Terry almost like fulfill his dream of getting the valley full of Cobra Kai dojos. I don't know. I'm so excited to see that. And then seeing, like, I think there's that shot where Terry's there, and you might even have it where he's got the turtleneck and the necklace, and
Oh,
he just
right.
looks so menacing and
Yes.
badass. I'm so excited to see Terry Silver, and I feel conflicted to, like, obviously root for the villain, especially if he's like manipulating children. But at the same time, I just love Terry Silver, and I'm so excited to see where they go with this. I can't wait. I can't wait, man.
I know, and I totally agree with you. It's like we needed Terry Silver to win. We want him to win. That shot that you bring up where he's all kind of like slick, he's got that turtleneck.
Yes.
I almost thought, like, I think I put on Twitter, it's almost like he's ascending to Dracula or vampire status. Like he looks like just evil, but really great, like imposing.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's the great thing about Terry Silver. He's a guy you want to root. He's a bad guy you want to root for.
It's hard. I feel so conflicted. And the other part, and I'm sure we'll get into this, but seeing Chozen and Terry in the same frame. Yeah, there we
Yep,
go. Ghost
yep.
Fixer. Completely agree with you. That just as a Cobra Kai and a Karate Kid universe fan, that was such a great moment to see that. It's like the same when you saw Johnny meet Terry in the previous trailer in the previous seasons.
Yes.
All these people are finally coming together, and it's done in a way that makes sense. Ideally, right? You would think the way that they set this up, it's not just, hey, let's have these two people meet each other for some arbitrary reason.
Right.
It's going somewhere. And I think that, comes back again to the people that are writing the show. You got to give them credit. They're doing it in a respectful way for the source material, and they're taking it further than I think anyone probably ever thought it was going to go. So that was also another epic moment, I think.
Right. Absolutely. And that's something Josh Heald said at the event. He's like, the only reason this show can happen is because everyone making it loves it so
Yes.
much. And you really get that sense. Hobby says, the more evil Silver gets, the more I root for him. It's weird. Never felt like that with any other villain than Silver.
Totally
right?
agree.
That's what you were saying, Drew.
Totally agree.
Mr. Tim says, I'm dying to see Barnes again, but another part of me is dying to see Dugan. Imagine Michael Ironside, Griffith, and Cove all in the same scene. That would be a dream for me.
Yeah.
I would love to see those three square off. And yes, this is the I'm gasoline. We're going to get to this. Terry Silver and Chozen equals explosive. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, NASA. Appreciate that. So Drew, we are about to launch into, and everyone watching this, we are going to go into this trailer shot by shot. If you haven't seen this trailer yet, go ahead and click on the link. It's a little less than 2 minutes. There's a link in the description. Watch the trailer for season 5 because we can't play it for copyright reasons. But what we're going to do is we're going to step through shot by shot and just talk about it and see what we see. Now, Drew, you haven't seen anyone else's analysis or breakdown, right?
No, I tried not to because I don't want to steal anyone's ideas. So
exactly. And I haven't seen anyone's either. So both of us are looking at this fresh. You guys, when we're talking about these things, say things in the chat, what you think, and we're going to try to figure out together all the secrets that we can find in this trailer. So, and pretty soon we might have a special guest joining us to help us with that. So, let's see. We've got, I thought I had a bumper. We'll just go to this.
KenCast discussion.
There we go. All right.
So
all right,
good.
guys. Here we go. You ready, Drew?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Any thoughts to set this up?
I don't know. I'll save it. I have a lot of thoughts.
Okay, excellent. All right. So here's the first shot. This kind of sets up the All Valley from season 4. I'm gonna skip past all the shots that we've seen, just because it's basically just setting up, what happened last season, and I'm just gonna focus on the new stuff. So we're gonna skip over this. There's Cobra Kai chanting and everything. Okay, so here's the next shot. This is the beautiful San Fernando Valley, as Bill Murray said in Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah.
Right, Drew?
It's a deep cut there. I love it.
It is at night. And here we start to hear a voiceover of Terry Silver saying, "Today is a turning point for Cobra Kai." Emotions. What's your reaction, Drew? What are your emotions?
I feel like we were saying before, I was excited because we saw Terry give that speech at the end of last season where he was talking about, he was being so happy because they won versus the defeat and shocking like disappointment that he had from Karate Kid 3. Coming back now to this, he's on the upswing and he's about to make history. He's triumphant, and it kind of gives you goosebumps in a way, not to be cheesy, but it's pretty exciting to hear where this is going. I mean, this shot with that voiceover, I love the Terry voiceover because I think it shows how much involvement he's going to have this season versus last season where he had, I think, 15 minutes of total screen time, and it was powerful screen time, but this is setting it up. It's like, we know what's up here. We know what's up.
Right. Exactly. And then let's move on to the next shot. Okay. And this is good because I think we're going to have Peter from Cobra Kai Companion joining us here in just a second. But okay, now let's take a look at this shot, Drew. It seems like we've got a new dojo, a very slick dojo with Cobra Kai students, an interesting background.
Yep.
Very, very. What are your initial thoughts?
First off, I need that background like back here. I'm gonna put that on my wall, and then I would absolutely have that on my wall back there. But I love that you can tell he's got the financing, he's got the money, and he's not afraid to take out the checkbook here. Just like he bought all the merch in the previous season, and he had all the t-shirts, the gear, and he was trying to get kids involved and the schools. This guy's sparing no expense. It brings up a lot of questions I have about, is he still at Dynatox and is he still using that kind of money, which we can get into. But yes. I like too how you see some familiar faces in the front there. You've got students that we've seen front and center, and they are just right there following the sensei. And I love him, like that monolithic picture of him in the back in that slick pose there. It's just awesome. I'm so excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And Drew, let me just mention that's one of the reasons I love Terry Silver. He's just absolutely in love with himself.
Yes. Yep.
and this is like the most amazing way someone could be in love with themselves. Like, look at that, like, picture of him. Yeah. Now, okay, everyone, we have a special guest that's going to join us for a little bit.
There he is.
Peter.
Peter, what's up?
Peter Veunnasack from Cobra Kai Companion Podcast.
No.
Thank you. No?
I am gasoline.
That is great. Oh, Peter, thank you for joining us today. Everyone, you probably have heard of the Cobra Kai Companion Podcast. They are the original Cobra Kai content podcast. They do amazing stuff. They've interviewed practically everyone in the universe. You need to go check them out. I've got a link in the description to Cobra Kai Companion Podcast, and Drew and I are very honored to be joined by Peter. Thanks, Peter.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to be here. When's the last time that the three of us got together?
I think it was New Year's, right?
It was New Year's Eve leading into the premiere of season 4, and you guys were picking my brain about Terry Silver because I had seen the screeners for season 4.
Right.
So, yeah, if you do a similar thing, I would love to come back if I get screeners for season 5. We'll see.
Yeah. Go. Oh, absolutely. I was going to ask you if you haven't seen any screeners for season 5 yet, have you?
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
Right.
Not yet.
All right,
not that he's legally allowed to say. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know if that's even something I can share or not, whether I got screeners, because there's an embargo restriction, and there's a certain date and time where you cannot put out your non-spoiler review. And I feel before season 4, I did see like some writers out there in the Twitterverse saying like, hey, December 27th, expect my non-spoiler review, season 4 is going to knock your socks off, things like that. And I'm all like, well, I'm not a writer, and you know, but I did compose like a 5-tweet non-spoiler review, which I kind of like shared bits and pieces of it with you guys. But
Right.
I think this time around, I will you know, it doesn't sound like it's prohibited. Like, I don't know why we can't say that. Like, hey guys, I saw it this date. I'm gonna drop my non-spoiler review. Keep an eye out, because they want us to write about it. They want us to get people excited for it. So yeah, if I get the screeners, you know, I probably won't say anything immediately, but maybe a few days before the embargo is lifted, I'll say, hey guys, yeah, I got my non-spoiler review ready. I can drop it at this point and just kind of be ready. So as a podcaster / YouTube channel, I'm going to consider some different options rather than a 5-tweet review. That, I mean, it circulated. People were sharing it on Twitter, and I screenshotted those and I put those on Instagram. People were sharing it on Instagram. Might be kind of cool if I just write something up and do like a video as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And everyone be sure to follow Cobra Kai Companion, because he will have that info as we move forward towards the release of season 5.
Yeah.
Now, Peter, so what we've just started, we are going kind of, we're looking at still shots. Okay, there we go. So we are now here. Let me bring this up. And I know you guys have done a breakdown. Drew and I haven't seen it yet.
2 hours and 14 minutes.
Really?
I'm planning to listen to it. I haven't had a chance because I knew we were doing this, so I'm definitely going to listen to it after.
Do 1 1/4 speed. It'll make things go a lot smoother.
Okay.
Maybe even 1.5. You know.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so you'll be able to lend some insight. Drew and I are fresh. We're just looking at this brand new. We're looking for all little things that we can find. So we've got the dojo here. And we kind of mentioned that Terry loves himself. We see him in the back. This is very modernized. Terry's clearly poured money into this. And then also, I guess it would probably be worth looking at the students, right? So who do we see here, and how many people are familiar and how many people are not?
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I would have turned it to Peter.
Okay. The most notable ones with lines, you have Kyler, very visible there.
Right.
You also have Kenny.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys, I am looking at on my phone, so it's a little bit smaller. Those are the ones that I kind of remember just based off of this. But in terms of the background Cobras that have been there for some time, who's not present in this particular frame is called Edwin, who is played by AJ. It's AJ Entertains on Instagram. I'm kind of blanking on his last name right now. But we also have Craig, who plays Dieter. He's been there since season 1 as well. There's an actor named Chance Dollard, who at least I noticed for the first time in season 4. So he's back as a background Cobra. I don't know his name. But some of the other ones that I learned from season 4, I'm not seeing present as well. And Ken, I'm not sure if you'll get to this, but in our breakdown, we kind of said, this is the commercial. This is the commercial that Daniel and Chozen is watching. So we don't know if this is an actual dojo location. We don't know if some of those characters that we have come to learn are at other factions of this new Terry Silver Cobra Kai, because obviously we'll see something later on that says like, okay, there's a bunch of locations out right now.
Right. That's a really good point.
Thank you.
And something Drew and I were talking about earlier is, when we're watching this, guys, we want to take a look and keep track of the things we see, but also the things we don't see.
Yeah.
So, so people are pointing out that we're not seeing Piper, we're not seeing some of these other
Stingray.
Right, we're not seeing them. But like as you're saying, Peter, that could be because this is just a commercial. That could be because there are just so many dojos. Or Drew, what do you think about that? Should we put a lot of stock into who we see and don't see here?
I think Peter made a good point. It could be like a studio. Maybe they're using this for filming the commercial, but I also wouldn't put it past, Terry to be sparing no expense. And I think at one point, I will probably get to it, but it almost looked like a giant, I don't even know, it's like a mecca of some huge building. So I don't know if it's like a facility. A lot of times these dojos have been in like strip malls or shopping malls, but it looks like he has some kind of building. So I don't know if this is a room in there or if they're filming that commercial. And I think Peter brought up a really good point about the commercial, because it's like him advertising this for new students to come in and showing the power that Cobra Kai has now in the Valley here. So, and I think maybe there are missing people, but maybe that's just for that particular commercial. It's interesting though. Like I think Piper not being there. I was thinking about Stingray too. Like you want to be Cobra Kai. Like where's he at? What's his role going to be? It's interesting that you bring that up. But I like the idea of maybe it's a studio. Although Peter, before you joined, I was saying that I want that background in my house over here because I need that. I've got my Vigo the Carpathian painting over there, but I need the Terry Silver one.
Well, guys, Wildman Beyond with a super chat. Thank you so much, guys. I love super chats. Thank you so much. It goes right to help supporting the channel. Thank you very much. And he says, Chozen owned Terry Silver. He's the new Miyagi / Yoda.
I have a little bit of insight on that. We have 2 interviews with Yuji for those that are interested. One where he talks about the Karate Kid Part 2, because we didn't at that point. I had no idea. Nobody knew he was gonna come to season 3. After that interview, I actually drove up to Seattle to go eat at his restaurant and just to say hello. And what I did not think was going to happen was after the hello, he ended up sitting with me and my buddy for 3 hours, and we talked about everything. Life.
That's great. Oh my
Karate Kid, so Cobra Kai, man. And he even kind of asked us, like, well, if my character were to show up, like, how do you guys think it would happen? And then, like, nobody has said anything that made us think, like, he knew when we were sitting right in front of him. Because, like, I'm trying to piece things together that I'm learning, that I have learned or heard, and trying to piece together this timeline. And so, yeah, I have no clue whether or not he knew when I was sitting in front of him. But when they released that trailer, are you sure about that? And we're like, oh my God, it's Chozen, it's Yuji. But he did come back after season 3. And what he said was his kind of approach on the new Chozen was a little bit, he was kind of channeling Pat Morita a little bit. So that comment kind of tracks, that's on brand, that he was trying to channel a little bit of Miyagi.
That's cool.
That's a great point. And we're going to get to see him in a little bit when we cover his shots.
Are we? I haven't seen this trailer yet.
Right. Let's see. Probably the last man on Club Penguin says, I doubt they'll use it for just the commercial. So he thinks that this will be an actual dojo that they're shooting the commercial in. Tyron Woodley's behind Torri during one shot. Must be one of the other instructors. We'll get to some new shots. And okay, guys, what do you think? Do you think we know everything we can from this particular shot? Is it time to move on?
I like the NASA has a comment in here. It says is that an old LaRusso auto location that's
right. That's funny.
I love the idea of just Terry buying up everything because he has like it's like I think we said it's like the anti Batman, like he's the negative, the evil Bruce Wayne, just buying up everything just because.
Right. I know, and it's so much fun to see Terry Silver.
That's awesome.
Okay, so here's another shot. This is another angle. So from this angle, it does kind of look like it's a legit dojo.
Yeah,
like this. Yeah, and you've got the little dummy guy kind of on the corner there for punching. I think that Torri punched before. Look on the wall. You've got trophies.
Yep.
You've got the Cobra Kai logo. I like that there's a TV screen in there. Is that dangerous to have in a karate dojo, like a screen? Could that get broken?
If they have shoji screens, why couldn't they have TV screens?
That's a good point.
I like to imagine it's just got clips of Terry Silver doing all kinds of badass stuff the whole time, and he's got like clips of himself, the pictures of himself on the wall, and the students are just like watching this day after day after day.
Yes. Okay, next. Let's see. Okay, so now look at this. We've got I don't know if you guys Peter, can you talk about what we see here? This is a golden wall. This is a golden wall with golden Cobra Kai.
Clearly it's a fountain of youth. It's some sort of like gold embossed like Cobra Kai symbol on like some sort of fountain of sorts, like a wall fountain where the water is kind of dripping in the back. It's just a beautiful piece. I think this is maybe just one of those shots that, like, if you guys forgot Terry Silver had money, yeah, he's got money. Just something like this, I could even see like in his freaking bathroom, you know. But yeah, just right before like the commercial, I was just thinking about it. But I think it kind of echoes season 2 a little bit, where we saw Daniel's commercial, which he shot in his dojo, Johnny's commercial, which he shot in his dojo. So yeah, I think it could be one of the dojos for sure. But this piece, don't know what it is. I wish it will become a merch. Maybe this is what Hayden was referencing, that Terry Silver has. He likes to buy all things or whatever.
Right.
That's awesome.
Here, Dave Sirach, who's a friend of KenCast. Hello, friends.
Hey,
Terry and
Dave.
Kreese will fight over a pit of snakes and come full circle. Happens all the time in the Valley. Thank you, Dave. Yes, Dave is right. He's right. You got to
awesome.
listen to Dave. Drew, what do you think when you look at this?
I like Peter's comment about the fountain of youth. It's how Terry stays so youthful and energetic. And for all we know, maybe his bathroom does have that in there. Maybe that is the wall in his bathroom. But I love, like, I think Cybergana put in the chat, it's got an 80s yuppie vibe. And I think sometimes, I don't know if anyone's ever seen the movie American Psycho, but I think there's a lot of parallels between Patrick Bateman and Terry Silver in some ways. And I like the 80s yuppie vibe, because Terry was that 80s businessman, that he's got all of those, fancy things. And why wouldn't he get a laser etched golden cobra to hang on the wall with a beautiful fountain behind it? But I love the aesthetic of this, and it's showing it, like we said in the last shot, he is sparing no expense. Only the best for his students, and the best for Cobra Kai as a dojo. And he wants to put everyone else out of business. Come with Cobra Kai, come be part of this. And why would you go with Miyagi-Do, or why would you go with Eagle Fang? Come with us. And I think we talk about the merch too. This just shows, again, it's how you get people to come in, this air of just elegance, I guess is a way to put it. So I love it.
Right. And I'm also interested in this. I'm interested in this comment from Amir. This could be in Terry's home. Yeah. Now, the aesthetic of this, I have to say, reminds me a little bit of the Ennis house.
Yep.
Like, this is the classic Terry, just the dark, the more golden hues, and I don't know if it would happen. I'd love to see the Ennis house again, but I'm excited that this is at least bringing Terry back to that headspace, that classic headspace from Karate Kid 3. Maybe.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's move on to the next shot here. Okay, Daniel. So he's walking, and then he walks along and throws this over the Miyagi-Do karate sign. And at this point, Terry Silver said, "Today is a turning point for Cobra Kai. Our competition has closed up shop." So that's what we hear over this shot. So, Peter, obviously we had an agreement at the end of season 4 that they had to go out of business. Cobra Kai 1. What do you think this means? Do you think they are closing Miyagi-Do karate, or is this a fake out, or what's going on here?
I kind of lean on well, I'm not leaning anyway. I'm kind of standing upright on both sides, because, I mean, you see the gate chained and padlocked. So are you really done teaching? What about your students? So I don't know if this is like a facade. Is Daniel putting on like a game face, and there's actually an ulterior motive? Obviously, we know that Chozen is coming. So we did kind of, Brianna brought up, like, why lock up the gates? Why couldn't Chozen just stay there? And I'm thinking, this is the 5th season. A lot of the characters have been established, and I'm not sure if we're introducing any new recurring characters. I feel like anybody that has like some sort of a plot have already been introduced. So I feel like we're going to go through the motions, and, why put him at that house? You're keeping him away from the LaRussos. Like, all the story is within these two characters. So I feel Chozen will be staying with Daniel at his home. Like, Daniel probably has plenty of rooms, even his home dojo. Why can Chozen stay in there versus Miyagi's home? But I think, if whatever Daniel has in mind in terms of a plan, Johnny has maybe a plan, but we would hope Daniel has something up his sleeve. And I think if he wants to catch Cobra Kai by surprise, he's gonna have to play the game of closing up Miyagi-Do.
Indeed. And we've got another super chat from Wild Man Beyond. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. I love super chats. They help support the channel. Wild Man Beyond says, "We all know Daniel is not closing shop. He's just going to underground to keep no suspicion so Chozen can take over." Drew, what are your thoughts on this? What do you think is going on here, and what might Chozen and Daniel do?
I go back and forth on it, because I agree with Peter. Like, I was thinking the same thing of what Peter was saying. And then when I look at it, it's the type of thing that when you watch a trailer, maybe they try to fake you out, or maybe it's legitimately, hey, they are closing up shop. Maybe this is before, he decides what he's going to do, or before Chozen says, hey, here's the plan. Like, I don't know if he gets, all the way through it at this point. We don't know at what point this is happening too. It's a classic trailer fake out moment. It could be, but at the same time, there was nothing to say that they couldn't open, a Sato themed karate like dojo, right? Because
Right.
Miyagi-Do's is done, but that doesn't mean they couldn't do something else. And that's kind of where my head's leaning at, or I think it would be interesting to see it that way. But at the same time, I also wouldn't be disappointed if there was this kind of down and out moment. Let Terry take over a bit, give more conflict versus waiting like not any time and then all of a sudden they're back, right? I like the conflict. I like the what are we going to do? We're kind of screwed here. What do we do? And even though Chozen's there and everyone knows how awesome Chozen is, I wouldn't mind if they did shut shop for quite a little bit here and just kind of see where it goes. But I'm almost leaning towards trailer fake out, but I hope I'm wrong about it. I hope I'm wrong.
Right.
Can I add to that, Ken?
Yeah,
absolutely.
So yeah, something Drew said just actually kind of reminded me something that we learned in season 3 in a bit of a throwaway line. Chozen is some sort of teacher, maybe a sensei. So close up Miyagi-Do. That's fine because you have a sensei that can teach your students in the meantime. So that's something to keep an eye on because we don't know because it's one of those that like, are they flipping the script? We see Chozen with like a messenger bag. So like, oh, is he a teacher? Maybe that's just what he was wearing that day and he had a messenger bag and maybe he is a sensei. Obviously, we know he continues to practice karate, and all that.
Right. And something else I want to bring up, you guys kind of made me think of, is if we think about the history of Chozen and Sato ran a very successful dojo in Okinawa. He was the #1 dojo for like 40 years, training U.S. military, and Chozen really helped to run and teach at that dojo. So obviously we know from season 2 that Chozen teaches, but he's a very experienced teacher and from a very experienced business family. So he might have a lot of knowledge on how to do this, how to run dojos, and he might have his own ideas on how to do things. If you're just joining us, guys, thank you so much. We have so many people watching today. We're all going through this trailer together. We're going to find all the secrets. If you have any thoughts, please put them in the chat. I'm going to try to get as many messages as possible, but we are going shot by shot through the trailer to find out all the secrets. So we shall move on to the next shot. Okay. So this is kind of a quick action shot where Kenny is pounding another student. We lost Peter. Hopefully we'll get him back pretty soon. So obviously this is just a quick shot, but I don't know, Drew, is this showing off Kenny? Do you have any thoughts here?
No mercy. That's what I think of immediately, right? And it was a pretty violent punch too. It wasn't just like a little tap here. It looked like he was punching with conviction. So you see that, and you know what Cobra Kai is all about. And Terry is not pulling back. He's not, I think there was a little bit of softness in the previous season, at least, and it was more about the manipulation of aspect of it. But this is just showing, okay, because people thought maybe, is Kenny going to go good? Is he going to go bad? Like, is he going to stay bad? It could be a trick again, but I think for whatever we're seeing here, it doesn't look like he's got any qualms about just punching this kid right in the gut and making it hurt as the facial reaction is there.
Indeed. And A. Jarvis says Kenny will use the Quicksilver method on Anthony.
One can only hope.
Yeah, exactly. We'd love to see the Quicksilver method. Wildman Beyond, thank you so much for your super chats, guys. Thanks so much. It helps support the channel. I can't wait to see Johnny's reaction meeting Chozen, also about blocking Daniel's crane kick in part 2. And going back, Lulu says that Miyagi-Do should operate out of Pastor Bobby Brown's church basement so he can be part of the Karate Avengers team too.
I like the Karate Avengers.
Well, Drew, isn't that a great idea? I mean, you've got all these people that are connected, that are experts in martial arts.
One thing that I wanted to say, and someone, I think Lucifer put it in the chat, Kenny falls into Terry's teachings. And I think I was thinking about this as we were seeing this picture. Is Kenny not the perfect student to take up the Quicksilver method and Terry's teachings? Like, think about what he had been dealing with, and he was getting bullied. He's the perfect student for Terry, and he was looking for that his brother was in juvenile detention or jail. He was looking for a mentor, and you had Robbie trying to teach him, but Terry comes in, and obviously Terry's one of the most master manipulators of any
Right.
medium of all time. And now Kenny's here, and he's like the perfect person to fall into that. And I'm kind of excited to see that, because I was lukewarm on the Kenny storyline last season, but I'm actually excited to see him maybe full on Quicksilver. I'm excited for that.
Right. And of course, he has the perfect last name for Terry.
Yeah.
Payne.
Yeah.
So, Peter, do you have thoughts on Kenny? It looks like he's kicking ass here.
Yeah, this character that he's punching, Brianna and I, we kind of found him in the sequence where we saw the ranks of the Cobra Kai early on in the trailer. So we don't know if this was like the same day or whatever, but Kenny looks like he has kind of taken on the mythos, not mythos, but the mantra of Cobra Kai, and has kind of not gone to the dark side all the way, but obviously we saw where he ended in season 4. I am curious though, because we haven't seen him in this trailer, is Anthony LaRusso. What does happen with that storyline? Because I don't think that's finished.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. That's a really great point. And Lucifer says Sean will not be happy to see his little brother like that.
Yeah.
That's an interesting comment. That's really interesting, because we thought of Sean as being like this, really intimidating guy, in juvie. So that's an interesting comment. He wouldn't like to see his brother like that. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, so this was a moving shot, and so I tried to get as many faces in as possible, but also from the dojo. I don't know, Drew, do you have any thoughts, or or is this kind of a repeat?
I think same as before. I mean, you see the ranks here. There's quite a few students. You see Kenny front and center there, and it seems like there's some pretty intense faces. So I think they're falling for the Quicksilver, Terry Silver, Cobra Kai method, and clearly it's working at this point.
Absolutely. Peter, does this shot give you any interesting information?
Not interesting, no. Just I kind of it's the first trailer. What I kind of mentioned in our breakdown is that this didn't give me any of those like WTF moments,
Right.
Whereas like some of the previous ones had, there was no like sexy fight where you're like, oh my god, what is going on? Who's the people here? We can't tell just by their hair, kind of thing.
Right.
This was a very, and I'm gonna use the term loosely, but this was a bit of a pedestrian trailer. Like this gives you some of those beats that we kind of had already expected. We knew Terry Silver was gonna take over. We knew that he was gonna open up locations. But which characters are still around, and we're kind of seeing that right now.
Right.
So yeah, they didn't give us anything where we're like, what is going on here? Like it's everything just kind of like, okay, we kind of expected all of this. So I do expect in the next trailer to give us those moments, to give us the more like, okay, wow, is that a new character? Wait, who is that? Wait, what is going on here? Because we heard from everybody from Paley Fest, like, oh, you guys are going to be blown away. This next season is going to be epic. It's nothing like we've done before. We continue to hear that from season to season, and they continue to deliver. So this trailer alone is not giving me any different feels. If anything, it's giving me a season 3 trailer feel. So I'm waiting to be blown away with whatever is coming up next. Not in the trailer, but a next trailer.
Right, indeed. Wildman Beyond, again, thank you for the super chat. He says, glad they didn't show Kreese.
It's got a lot of money.
I know, it's great. Thank you, guys. I'm glad they didn't show Kreese. It pumps you up for my intent and anticipation. Yes, and again, guys, we're watching for stuff we don't see as opposed to stuff we see as well. So let's move on. Terry. Oh, here he is.
Look at that
Oh
smile.
my gosh, guys. Isn't this here?
KenCast, Terry Silver.
There we go, guys. Here he is.
I'm glad you made that.
Yes. So guys, here he is. This is the master. As Drew and I were talking about before, I'm excited for season 5 because this is wish fulfillment for Terry Silver. He is exactly where we wanted him to be at the end of Karate Kid 3. He is ruling everything. He's got infinite money. He's got infinite, well, we think close to infinite fighting skill. But here he just seems so satisfied. I mean, Drew, talk about this shot. Do Do you feel the satisfaction looking at the shot?
It gives me the same sense of satisfaction that he has, because I've been thinking about this moment since I first watched Karate Kid 3. You know, that I was saying before, he had that shocking sense of disappointment and just crushed dreams by losing the All Valley and Barnes going down. This is what he's been working for, you know, however long. And then he tried to shut it out of his memory, maybe after he started going to therapy and all this other stuff. But this is really at least who I think he is. And this gives him that sense of he's almost like a king over his kingdom. And as a huge Terry Silver enthusiast, as our friend Chris would say, I mean, this is like the moment. And I was saying earlier in the live stream here, the biggest thing about Terry that I was going through last season was this emotional roller coaster of, oh my gosh, like I guess he is second fiddle to Kreese. And that wasn't what I expected. And I remember, Peter, when we were doing the Epic live stream, you had mentioned, you couldn't say at the time, but you were telling us, oh, don't worry, like it might not be what you expect. And you said, like, because I said, is it going to fulfill people's Terry Silver wishes? And you said, yeah, it will. And I had that up and down, and that last shot of that last season was amazing. And then this is like, I'm expecting a full season of it, you know, and I'm so excited for it because of that. So this face is the face that I had when I watched this trailer.
Indeed. And we've got Mr. Tim says Terry's back into something more so than his 89 counterpart. This is Silver in complete control. Like a drug addict, he will want more.
Yeah.
Peter, you obviously have long fandom for this. You know Terry Silver very well. How do you feel seeing this? Some fans aren't happy to see Terry Silver so powerful because they don't like him because he's a mean guy. How do you feel at this moment in the story?
First off, I want to say I don't know if I know him as well as you two do. You know, I'm definitely you know, Drew, you were saying you're a Silver fanboy. Like I was a Chozen fanboy. You know, I after this trailer came out, I was like, you know, and I'm kind of patting myself on the back here, but when I saw the line, you know, and I am gasoline,
Yeah.
I took that screenshot and I shared it on Twitter, and oh my God, the last time I saw it, it had, you know, 2,500 likes, 103,000 impressions. So that means how many eyes, you know, saw that tweet. But I was just like, where did you Chozen fans come from? Like I've been waiting for this. What is going on?
Right.
And I made a fan poster of Chozen. I think it was before season 3 came out, where I took it was actually a publicity picture of Yuji in the Chozen uniform in the Awesome Asian Bad Guys flick that he did a few years back. And I turned that into a poster, and that kind of caught some fire as well. It's just like, where are all you fans at? Because I always kind of thought like I was a Chozen fan before it was a cool thing, you know. So it's amazing that where they're all coming from. But seeing this right here, it does make me happy because I think it was the account She Buries Judy on Instagram that shared the Thomasine Griffith video from the live event the other night. And watching that, I was like, oh my God, Thomas is so good portraying Terry Silver. Yeah. And so like every time I see Terry Silver, it's amazing. But then like, you know, we see that little glimpse of Chozen, I kind of, you know, it's like that meme where the one guy is walking with a girl and he looks at the other girl like, you know, like I feel like that. It's kind of like I love me some Terry Silver from season 4, but like, oh, be Chozen, like I'm listening, you know. Right. But I'm a fan of both. Obviously, a bigger fan of Chozen just because I have been. He's a lot like my uncle, you know, like Karate Kid 2 Chozen, kind of like my uncle.
Nice.
So I think that's why I always kind of gravitated to that character. You know, I'm kind of a jackass, but like a swarmy guy, smiles, you know, kind of bad. So my uncle's kind of like that. I won't get into his story, but yeah, just I do wonder in the context of this particular frame, like what is going on? How much Terrence do we still have? Is this 100% Terry?
Yeah,
you know,
interesting thought. Dude says, what I love about the character of Terry Silver is that while he's technically one of the bad guys, he's not a fraud. He might be a bit of a cheat and do scummy things, but he's earned his dojos and credit.
Who hasn't done that stuff?
Well said. Well said.
Wild Man Beyond, thank you for the super chat. This is really helpful paying the bills this week. Thank you. This helps support the channel. You think they'll bring back Larry B. Scott as Jerry? He is the long lost Cobra. I don't know. That's a really good question. We have so many new OG characters, and of course, people are wondering about Mike Barnes. So we'll have to see if Mike Barnes comes back. I love this shot of Terry. Let's move on to the next one. Now, guys, this is very interesting, and I need your help because we need to identify what we're looking at. We see, here's what I think: coffee creamers. Okay, they look like coffee creamers with Cobra Kai flags coming out. Okay. And then we have another marker to the left. I don't know if that's an eraser. It's like a square thing, but it's different. It's not the coffee creamer, and it doesn't have a flag on it. What do you think those objects are? Would that be a creamer? And then
It looks like a creamer, but I can't make out what the other one is, and I don't remember while it was live motion. I don't. It looks like something else, but it's someone else, right? I think it reminds me of Game of Thrones, where they're playing war games here. You know,
Right.
it's like putting up a map. But
Right.
it looks like a coffee creamer for the Cobra Kai side.
Right. So guys, keep this in mind because we're going to see another shot of this, but just keep track that we have two things, and it's only the coffee creamer that has the Cobra Kai flag on it. And then stating the obvious, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you. Love those guys. Does Terry Silver use liquid or foam Rogaine?
He doesn't need that. He doesn't. He's got the flowing locks. One of the best ponytails in the business. One can only hope to have a ponytail like that. That's why I'm growing my hair out. You know.
Indeed. That's perfect. So Peter, what do you think just looking at this shot, or at least what we can see in this shot?
It could be vegan tofu, you know.
Tofu Terry.
Yeah. Brianna thought it was like some sort of tofu. I was like, I mean, unless it was like fried tofu, because regular tofu would be kind of slimy and it'd be quite a bit of a mess, really. I have no idea. I kind of like your idea of like it's possibly an eraser, just because like looking at it, it's got some like different shades of stuff. It looks like it's kind of worn, but I guess if it's an eraser, it would kind of be a little less like solid shaped or whatever. That looks very rectangular, so not as used like an eraser. So
Right.
perhaps like some sort of like a really obscure Monopoly piece, that only one Terry Silver owns, that is worth some money here. Maybe one of those. I have no idea. But if humor me, if that is what maybe that is, why is he using creamers for Cobra Kai locations?
That is an excellent thought. So let me just get in Wildman Beyond. Thank you for the super chat, Wildman. Thank you. Betting Terry recruits Mike Barnes or Colonel Dugan or both. I would love to see those scenarios. So thank you, Wildman. I appreciate it. And that's the thing. Whose hand is this?
It's a good. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ken.
No, I was going to just throw that out there and actually throw it to you, Drew.
Because I think there was a couple comments in the chat, and I was thinking this the same too. And there's a shot later where we talked about like the mecca of that. It almost does look like maybe this is a LaRusso auto location, and maybe that's where the K cups come from, and maybe that's, or if it's a Keurig, a K cup, maybe he's taken them right from the coffee rack in the back. But the question becomes: is this Terry's hand, or is this someone else's hand? And
right.
Who's plotting out the war games here? I like to think maybe it's Terry, and then they're plotting against maybe Chozen and Daniel. But I love the idea that this is in a LaRusso auto, and that's where they're taking these coffee cups from, because just the fact of talking about crushing your enemies, just stealing his business from underneath him, like we said, like a anti-Bruce Wayne would do, and then turning it against him is incredible. The fact that he turned his business potentially into a Cobra Kai location, it's like, there's nothing more diabolical than that. You're going after the person's like the core. So I like to think it's Terry's hand and he's plotting stuff out, but I could be wrong.
Right. I am wondering if this is a fake out. Like, I think this might be a trailer fake out. We hear Terry's voice, but I'm wondering if this is at LaRusso Auto. And I'm wondering if that is Daniel's hand or Chozen's hand. Because why would Terry Silver use coffee creamers? He would not. He would buy like platinum.
That's a fair point.
War pieces. You know what I mean? I would think. So let's.
Yeah. The other thing is like those fingers don't look like they would be able to play the piano like in 401. Right? That actually looks like a regular sized human being's hand.
Yeah. That's a great point. Those are not piano fingers, are they?
However, Brianna didn't mention that looks like Ralph's hands.
It
So
could be.
she has made comments like that before. So that'd be actually interesting. Like screenshot that and tweet it to Brianna and say like, hey, does this by chance look like Ralph's hands? She might surprise you.
Right. That's so funny. She's such a big fan of Ralph. Okay, so we're getting this kind of in the meantime. We've got a grand opening, the new Cobra Kai location. Do you see anything interesting here, Drew?
I love the way that, again, the building and the aesthetics of it and the style. And, we say Terry is one that spares no expense. He's going to go all out for this type of place. It's not in a strip mall. It's not in, the side of a highway like some of the other places have been that we've seen in the show, which are more typical of anywhere you go, right? That's a lot of times you see dojos there. This place is potentially the mecca of Cobra Kai karate. It is a massive building, and even the Cobra on the side with the fence. So this building is sprawling. So, maybe you look at this and you think, oh, it's just the blue portion or the gray portion there, but it looks like it actually extends beyond. So is this a whole training center? And are they taking over maybe an arena or something? I think that it just shows how big, and it's even got like a ramp and a staircase there. So you can see there's lines. So maybe people are waiting to get in. I mean, this place is no joke. He's busting out the checkbook to spread the Cobra Kai love across the valley.
Yes, indeed. And NASA wonders, could Terry have hired Tom Cole and gotten help from him in ending Daniel?
That's
be awesome. A great idea. We're Tom Cole fans here. If you're interested in that, go watch Cobra Cole. Go watch Cobra Cole right now with David Shatraw, who plays Tom Cole in Cobra Kai. Peter, what do you see when you look at this grand opening of Cobra Kai Dojo? Any similarities, differences?
Yeah, it's sleek. It looks a lot more modern. I was kind of making the comparison to Rocky IV, like during the training montages, you got Drago with this advanced state-of-the-art technology versus Rocky's kind of barbaric and primal, methods of training. This one, it looks like your Nike, your Adidas, the big employee stores where you go and you see a bunch of Cobras hanging out merch. It's a grand opening, so the merch is going to get people in just like for some free stuff. People love free 99, so you're going to show up even if you say no, you're walking away with something. But in this frame, you do see Kenny in the background there, and you do see AJ, who plays Edwin, so we do see him there as well. So that character is still around, and Edwin has been a background Cobra since season 1. So I do wonder if some of these background Cobras that we kind of recognize from previous seasons are at, again, other locations of Cobra Kai. I do like the new font. Again, it just looks different. This is Terry Silver's Cobra Kai, make no mistake, kind of thing, because we've already had 2 other versions of it, right? We got the Kreese version, then we had the Johnny version. So new location, not something we have seen before, at least not the way it's dressed. So really hard to say. I never really took like a really good look at that palm tree. Like, does that look real? Like, did they plant that there? And is this like one of the like outdoor stages in Atlanta? Hard to say, but I do like the lightsabers on the wall. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, that's awesome. It's a nice touch.
Oh yeah, very, very cool. And we have Lucifer says, man, it looks like a gym. It's completely different than the old Cobra Kai, which is a great thing. And Wildman Super Chat, thank you. Chosen's cool, but we all know that Hilary Swank will be next, and when she does, opening season will be end season badass. We shall see. We shall see if that happens. Let's one thing before we move on. Look at this. Terry Silver self-love. I love the celebration of Terry Silver self-love. Look in that window below grand opening. Who's that in the window? Do you see him? It's a huge blow-up picture of Terry.
Yeah. I need that on the wall here. I got to tell you, I need that.
I know. And speaking of merch, right, Peter? I mean, I hope we get official Cobra Kai merch with like Terry Silver posters that we can buy. Right, Drew? Awesome. You would get that. I would get
that. Sign me up, pre-order immediately.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, we've got, so this is a close-up shot. We have Kenny. And we really see lots of kids, but it seems like people from all walks of life, really. So Terry Silver's really doing a good job marketing to everyone, it seems.
Is this at the same location? Or is he like at a school? Like I'm trying to remember. Is this outside right there? I'm trying to remember at what point is that the shot?
I think that's part of the
Oh,
Same
okay, it looks
thing.
like the same wall. Because what I was thinking
Yeah.
was it looked like school bleachers, that fold up on the side there for a second. I didn't know if he was, like, doing some community outreach, but I guess they are just outside of the facility. I was trying to place the shot there, but so they're trying to recruit a bunch of more people too, and it looks like it's working. It certainly seems like it.
Absolutely. And
I would
Peter,
say
we've
that.
got Kenny with a smile. He's very happy.
All smiles. He's probably being accepted, post, hazing phase from season 4. We saw Kyler in the ranks as well. So maybe things are going well for young Kenny. It'll be really interesting to see. Just to kind of touch on the big Terry poster. I don't want to have to keep bringing up like our breakdowns, but a comment Brianna kind of made. She thought it was a little weird that he's kind of kind of promoting himself, so to speak. I'm like, well, you're the sensei, right? I don't know if people are joining specific dojos based on winners of previous tournaments and things like that. I feel like if especially at my age, if I'm looking to learn how to kick ass, I'm going to go to a badass sensei.
Yeah.
And so he's betting on himself, right? And so he's going to promote himself. And so why not put your Terry Silver on these posters? I feel that's going to be more of the draw.
It's part of the brand, to your point, and he's selling
exactly.
himself as much as he's selling Cobra Kai. And you mentioned it earlier too, Peter, with the font change, and or Ken, with the font change, the whole piece about rebranding Cobra Kai. This isn't your father's Cobra Kai. This is Terry Silver's Cobra Kai. And just make no mistake about it. I'm in the window. I'm on the wall. I'm everywhere. This is my Cobra Kai. We're not losers like we were in the past. We're winners now. We won.
Yes.
And I think that whole flip of the script is a huge thing, right?
Absolutely.
Could
Absolutely.
this be your father's Cobra Kai, though?
True, it is. It is your
yeah.
father's Cobra Kai.
This
Yeah.
is your father's Cobra Kai, not yours.
That's true. That's true. It's your father's Cobra Kai, the winners.
NASA, thank you so much, NASA, for the super chat. Love the super chats. The other proof that it could be Terry buying up LaRusso Auto is that window we saw with Terry's picture. Showrooms have those huge windows. So NASA thinks that this could be kind of like a huge window for an auto showroom. That's kind of an interesting thought, guys. Thanks for bringing all this up. Wild Man, thank you. Speaking of Top Gun references, season 4, you guys ready for Top Gun Maverick this month? Thanks for the super chat. We will definitely check that out. Javi, Terry Silver is a narcissist. There is nobody he loves more than himself. So I agree. And I would say that is completely on brand. Does not surprise me at all. And I celebrate it and embrace the fact that he is putting his image on everything. So let's see what we've got next. Okay, so here's another shot of the coffee creamers, and we've got the war markers. And I guess those could be erasers. I don't know. But we start to see a map of the valley, right? So there's Sherman Oaks, Van Nuys, 405. So this is the San Fernando Valley. So and then here's the reveal.
Yeah.
Okay. So Drew, when you see this, what do you think?
So if I quickly count, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. So this was at least 8 Cobra Kai banners there, and then what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. So about 6 or 7. I'm not counting appropriately. I'm doing it quick, but there's more Cobra Kais than the potential other ones, but they're spread out throughout the whole valley. And you look at where Cobra Kai is, it's all on the edges and in the interior. It's almost like they're blocking each other. So you almost wonder, the comments that folks have been putting in the chat, are they taking over LaRusso Auto locations? Are they putting new locations out there? Which ones are there first? Are they blocking each other? I think it's cool that it shows how widespread Cobra Kai is, and they're not, just in a particular pocket. So when you talk about recruiting people, you're going all the way from the hills over there, all the way to North Hollywood and Burbank. This is a widespread dojo here and set of dojos. So they're going to be getting tons of students. And I wonder if they'll show the far reaches. And then the other thought that I have too is Terry rotating at all of these different locations? How is he splitting his time between them? Does he have other senseis? We talked about, what are we not seeing? Who are the other senseis that are helping him expand and really run these locations? And I'm really curious about the non-Cobra Kai items. I want to know, are they locations that they're trying to take over? And maybe Brianna's point, if that's Ralph's hand or if it's Terry's hand, I don't know. You'd be curious about what's going to happen with those others. Are they taking them over? So there's a lot going on in this picture. I'm just so curious about where it's going to go. I like the jelly container.
Yeah. Peter, what do you think when you look at this?
You know, that I was kind of on the same boat as everybody else. Like, it's just like a takeover plan, you know. And in our review, I kind of, for those that don't know, I spent 10 years in the Army, and one of the things that they teach you about, like ambushing somebody, especially like a convoy, you take out the person in the front and the person in the back, so that you can attack the middle. This doesn't really scream ambush per se. However, like what if we're kind of looking at this like with the wrong lens, right? Because the creators, they love to flip the script. What if this isn't like taking over certain locations? What if this is a battle plan to take out the competition, not necessarily a takeover? So I'm kind of like, now I'm kind of backpedaling on my previous thoughts. Like, yeah, what if this is like Chozen and Daniel kind of talking about like, well, these are their current locations right now. This is where we are. How can we attack them from the outside? You know, kind of thing. But they are placed in a way that it could still be like this all out, you know, dojo location war. Because like if you think about the first season, you got the cafeteria fight and the tournament. Then season 2, you have the bar fight with the OG Cobras and the school fight. Season 3, you have gosh, what's the middle fight in season 3? Oh, well, you got Chozen versus Daniel sparring, and then you end that with, how did season 3 end?
The break-in fight.
The break.
Oh yeah, at the dojo with
Yep.
with Kreese.
Mm-hmm.
In season 4, we have the rematch, the 1984 rematch, and also that ends with the another tournament. What are they gonna do with season 5? How can it be bigger than the school, bigger than a bunch of senseis just kind of fighting? What if it's like location fights? You know, so you got like all these multiple. Okay, what if Chosen's at one location? There's a big brawl there. Daniel's at another location, brawl there. Like multiple fights just going, bleeding out into the valley.
Right.
How chaotic would that be?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I like what you guys are saying. Like, looking at this, here's what I think. I think this is probably not at Terry Silver's location. I bet that this is Daniel and Chozen maybe plotting what they're going to do. So yeah, it does look like we've got whatever the dojo is, if it's Sato Dojo or Miyagi-Do, I bet those are like the eraser thingies, and then the round pointy things with the flags. Those are the Cobra Kai locations that Terry Silver has opened.
Yeah.
The Karate Kid 3 fan in me is slightly disappointed that Terry's kind of undershot this time. He's clearly not gone for the full 20 locations that he bought for Kreese. So it doesn't look like he's gotten that many locations. Maybe he learned his lesson.
Episode 1. This is episode 1. That's why.
Oh, okay.
He's building it up.
Yeah, it's like a stage.
Episode 2, you'll get your 20.
Yes. So we'll see. But it looks like if he's doing that stage thing, we've got Daniel and Chozen trying to block him. Like, that's what I think. I think they're trying to compete almost on every corner to try and snuff out or prevent the spread of Cobra Kai, the fire of Cobra Kai spreading through the valley. So those are my thoughts. But it's really cool to see. Like, I live right around here. It's kind of wild. I wish we could go and see these dojos in real life. That would be fun.
That'd be awesome.
Yes. Okay. So let's move on. And then actually, I'm thinking that, so the imaginary Mark says, I'm thinking that the other things are dojos or Miyagi-Do, Daniel dojos wanting to open. I also think that Terry would want to get masters of other martial arts so his students are prepared. Yeah, that's I love that comment, because a lot of people have been wondering who is he going to call, right? Who's he going to call? So here's the next shot, and we have, it looks like Johnny looking at a new Cobra Kai location, a separate Cobra Kai location. I don't know, Peter, what do you think here? What do you see here?
Yeah, it looks like Cobra Kai has taken over the Spirit Halloween store. You know, and Johnny's drinking Coors Banquet, you know, for some liquid courage. No idea. I even wondered if the gentleman there on the right screen is like Dimitri, you know, but it could just be a passerby. Yeah, this one has like so little to work off of, but it does like looks like a brand new acquired location of Cobra Kai.
Right. I don't know, Drew. It sounds like Peter's saying that Terry might not have the best taste in locations if he's buying
I
at the
lo-
Halloween store. What do you think, Drew?
I absolutely love, and I never thought about that Peter just nailed it. Like the concept of Cobra Kai being like Spirit Halloween, just taking over every possible empty location. Because there's that meme. I mean, it's true for a reason, but definitely Terry's got the finest of tastes, but I think he's also maybe not too above himself to also say, hey, more locations are better than no locations. So he'll take whatever he can get. And it is kind of a weak banner. It looks like just like a canvas print, but maybe it's a temporary thing until he can get the neon lights installed and everything. It does look like it's hard to tell what's in the picture, but it almost looks like a department store or something, or some other random, like, I don't know, like a Men's Warehouse or something,
Yeah.
and I'm curious if he's taking over just every possible thing that he can get, but it's hopefully a temporary banner until he can get the golden neon light one, I think. So Kmart.
Yeah. An old Kmart. That's great.
Looks
Thanks,
like that.
NASA. I know it's kind of an interesting choice of locations, and it might point to the fact that this is happening fast. Terry's opening these locations quickly before he can get them all
Yeah.
decked out. Another thing is that this is Johnny. So we don't know exactly when he's heading to Mexico. So is he going right away? Is he seeing this before he leaves for Mexico? Or is this after he comes back from
Yeah.
Mexico?
Or is it in Mexico?
Ooh, I like that.
I even wonder if this is that Cinderella shirt that we see him wearing later on.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that will kind of like clue you in terms of the timeline as well. But that could be Mexico, but he also doesn't have Robbie, at least not in this frame.
Yeah.
If
Right.
we're thinking it's Mexico, then Robbie could be at another store location, in the car waiting, kind of thing. But I'm going to be very interested to see what this scene ends up revealing to us.
Right. Wax On has a great comment. Maybe they're selling merch in that store.
That's a good
Maybe
call.
this is only a merch store for Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
I like that, yeah.
Pop-up store.
Yes.
I love the new banner and things like this, but it just screams Snake Eyes to me.
It does.
Especially
Yeah.
with the Cobra and stuff. Like, yeah.
I like the red, like the red on black looks so awesome.
Looks so good.
It's so cool.
Terry's a man with good fashionable taste. He knows what he's doing. Imagine if Terry Silver brought a Toys R Us location. Terry Silver could have saved Toys R Us.
Speaking of toys, like I don't know, you guys have seen it. I think Diamond puts out the new action figures. There's ones of them fighting the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I've seen at my local comic store. Shout out Jeff Comics in Pennsylvania. And they also have a Daniel and a Johnny one and a Kreese one. And every time I go in there, I'm thinking, man, where is the Terry Silver action figure? Like, I need that in my life. Like, people have made customs, but I need a Terry Silver action figure. If anyone's willing to make it, I will pay top dollar for that.
Right.
Otherwise, I'll have to make it myself.
Well, Ben brings up a great comment. Cobra Kai merch store would be sick. But the thing is, in this show, a Cobra Kai merch store should have Terry Silver figures.
Yes.
Terry Silver would have action figures commissioned of himself, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree with that. But like in terms of like real world, I wish there was so much more merch for people like us. We were kind of joking about the Spirit of Halloween, but I walked into one after the move to Netflix. Was it after the move to Netflix? At some point, I walked into a Spirit of Halloween store just hoping for like all the costumes, the Cobra Kai gis, and I'm like walking in. I'm like, hey, you guys got Cobra Kai stuff? They're like, oh yeah, it's over. It's on the end cap back down there. And I walk to it. I go, okay, there's like wristbands and a bandana. This is a little underwhelming for like, I thought it was huge. And like Stranger Things, yeah, it's been out a little bit longer on Netflix. They had a lot more in terms of costumes. Yeah. So I'm just still kind of underwhelmed what's available out there for like Cobra Kai merch for us to purchase and wear for like Comic Cons and things like that. I don't want to have to order it online. I'd like to see it in person. I'm kind of old school like that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the challenge. Anyone watching who has influence in that regard, let's get some good merch going. And Peter and I and everyone can talk about that on our shows like this.
We want to be wearing gis while we're doing lives.
Yes,
printing money. It's printing money.
Exactly. This is Imaginary Mark says, I was thinking that every new Cobra Kai location would replace the yellow on the logo with another color, but I guess that's not happening. That's an interesting thought. Also, to your point, NECA will probably make new action figures for Cobra Kai. There's going to be quite a bit of great memorabilia from the show in the near future.
I hope so. I really do. I would buy it. I've actually been almost able to pull the trigger on the other ones. I keep holding off, but I'm ultimately, I gotta have a Johnny Lawrence action figure too. Like, how can you not get that? So
yes. Ben's with Peter there 100%. So, and Jarvis, thank you. Try and get Ken Cole to 50,000 subs. Wonderful. Hey, I'd settle for 20,000. So if you guys were watching this right now, hit subscribe. It's free. And once people don't talk about this, but when you hit that subscribe button, it makes you feel so good. So just go ahead, hit that subscribe button to Ken Cole so you can.
I love that, Ken. Yeah, hitting subscribe is free. You know?
Yeah, it's completely free.
It costs you 2 seconds.
Yes.
That's it. 2 seconds. If Terry says nothing's for free, that's what it is. 2 seconds. That's the only price. And then it makes you feel good. So thank you guys. Thank you everyone for watching. We are stepping shot by shot through this trailer. If you're just joining us, we have a great crowd watching today. So we are at this point in the trailer where it is revealed. Terry Silver is looking into the camera and he says, come join us. And then everyone says, yes, sensei. So then we'll see in the next shot that this is a commercial, but this is that same dojo again. We don't have to spend a lot of time on this shot, but is there something about this that stirs you, Drew?
I love Kyler's hair in the background there. It says he got the messy mop top. I love that. But I said yes, sensei myself. I mean, he's brainwashing me, but how can you not want to join him after watching this? And then him in the front, all triumphant with his loyal students behind him. Come on, this is a Terry Silver fan's dream. Just seeing this commercial, so it's so awesome, and he looks so proud.
He does, and you're right. It is a fan's dream. I'm trying to contain my excitement. This is maybe one of the greatest trailers of all time because of how Terry Silver is featured. Peter, what are your thoughts when you look at this shot?
I do wonder what's going on with Kyler's hair. I do wonder if he's like Cobra Kai's version of Hawk, right? We're always like, oh, what color is the mohawk going to be now? I feel like with Kyler, it's like, all right, well, how are they going to style his hair this time? I feel we might see a bit of an evolution in season 5 just for kicks and giggles. But in this particular frame, another background Cobra that I recognize is called Big Red.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe he does have a name. The actor, I believe is Christopher Lewis, if I'm not mistaken. His brother Shane Lewis, who's Little Red, who is he's Miyagi-Do. And yeah, we're just like, gosh, they are still the only two that split up in season 2 that has not gone back to like the same dojos together. Like these two brothers are still separated. So we're kind of like, we're hoping that at one point they're going to reunite, Big Red, Little Red. But yeah, he is another recognizable guy who was introduced in season 2.
That's a really good find. That's a really good find. And Big Clifton agrees with Drew. I still want to know what happened to Dynatox.
I need to know because I keep wondering, like, is he still employed? I was asking Ken before we did this whole thing. Like, do you think he's still working there? Is he on leave? Is he taking another leave of absence to terrorize some teenagers' lives, or is he? Because that would give him more pull too. It's like, hey, this successful business person we saw in the screenshot, I think, of the newspaper article. Like he's he's still a successful person. Like Peter mentioned earlier, you go for the sensei. Hey, this is a very successful businessman running a very successful business. He's also a great karate sensei, martial arts sensei. He knows what he's doing. That larger than life personality still holds true. And I hope he's still with Dynatox. I hope he is. So I hope we get a glimpse into that. I need some business deals in bathrobes. So
Indeed.
I'm kind of quickly add to that. Just with the show and the intricate writing, we have to kind of bear in mind that their episodes range from like 23 minutes all the way to 47 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're very deliberate with the dialogue and the things that they show us, the things that they cut, because things come back. There was something that when we interviewed one of the writers, Michael Jonathan Smith, Rihanna had asked him about a line that Sam says in season 2. He was unable to comment on that because it ended up coming back. I don't remember. I think it was in season 3. The line actually comes back and gave more context to it. So, Drew, to your point, because you're curious what is going on. That's because they haven't revealed it to it yet. You kind of alluded to the I think it was you that you're talking about, like perhaps the scroll
Yeah.
that Chozen gives Daniel in season 3. That's got to come back. Like this is the Ryzen of Cobra Kai for those that watch Breaking Bad.
I love that.
Everything will come
that.
back. Yeah, we will eventually find things out. Like whatever question you have, they eventually answer.
That's wonderful. Okay, so here's the next shot. We see Cobra Kai on the TV. And it's revealed that Daniel and Chozen, like that was a commercial that Daniel and Chozen are watching. Daniel turns off the TV and says, "This is what we're up against." Okay. So Drew, what do you have thoughts? And I'll just throw in, I'll go to the next one. He's with Chozen. So they've been all here. Yep, here he is.
Yep.
Here he is, Yuji. He's back. Peter's excited. Yes. So we have the sequence where they've been watching this commercial and Chozen's there. What are your thoughts, Drew, when you see this?
The expression on Yuji's face is awesome. Like, we talk about, like, I know Peter's a huge Chozen fan, and I gotta respect that because Yuji's acting in this is so awesome. Like the way that he doesn't look concerned at all. He's like, whatever, and Daniel's like looks very concerned and he looks very like, hey, this is what we're up against. And you look at Chozen and he's just like, no problem. Like he's got it. Like, and I love Yuji as an actor. Like he's awesome. And I love his expression here and his complete calmness in the situation after he's seen this, $5 million TV commercial about this expansive karate dojo. And I think it's testament to the acting and just how awesome Chozen is as a character. Like I love Chozen too. Obviously I'm a Terry Silver fanboy, but Chozen is awesome and it's great to see him back. So I want to let Peter comment on this because I know he's excited.
Yes, Peter. What are your thoughts?
So just inside baseball here. I'm on the clock and I'm waiting for a particular moment before I end my lunch here.
Okay.
Do you guys smell something? Smells like gasoline. That's what I'm smelling.
Yeah.
I like what Drew says. Like he is calm. It's like Daniel turns off the TV and Chozen's just like, all right, so what's up? Like what's the plan here? Like this isn't rattling him. This is just a commercial. So it will be. Thomas Ian Griffiths just tweeted something about Brianna. Don't be. Oh man, I just got to know. Thomas
That's
just
awesome.
tweeted something about Brianna.
Nice, good.
But anyway, this point, it kind of gives us nothing. We'll see something like at the end of the trailer, which you guys will get to, which is a pretty comical moment between the two. I just like that. This is just kind of like Chozen, just very casual. He's just kind of being filled in right now. Not a whole lot to be taken from this very moment, but he's rocking like this Hawaiian styled shirt with cranes on them. So I like that little touch. Just beneath Daniel's TV was like some gardening books, So I do wonder what part of the LaRusso manse is this? Like, is this the guest home? Is this the guest room where Chozen will be staying? So I like it. This is just kind of we're getting a glimpse to like how will Chozen be told about one Terry Silver.
Right. And I agree. The shirts. One thing I always loved about Chozen, because I love those kinds of shirts too. I love that he's still rocking those shirts.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing and thrilling just that he's back. And then so this section, we have a series of flashbacks to Karate Kid 3. And during this time, he says, I know firsthand that Silver isn't afraid of putting kids in harm's way. So we know these shots, the Quicksilver method. Definitely check out my Terry Silver videos. Now we get to this shot. Look at this. This is Torri. And it looks like she's in front of the man, the Quicksilver man, the little dummy. Drew, you being an absolute fan of Terry Silver and Karate Kid 3, this would appear to be the reveal of he's bringing back Quicksilver.
Oh yeah, and that's the first thing I thought of like when I saw this, because especially with how and Peter mentioned it before, right? Everything is intentional. Everything has a purpose. The fact that they brought this back, it was clear what they were trying to show, and the fact that he's taking Cobra Kai to the next level here. He's bringing back Quicksilver, and I think someone had mentioned too, just the way that he's teaching these students. He's not holding back anymore, and he's going to unleash the full power of Cobra Kai and Quicksilver out on the valley. And I love that there's a little conflict in her face, and I don't know if it's just the way that the shot is. I don't know what is going to happen between her and Terry at the end of the last season, especially knowing that, you know, she overheard that conversation between him and the referee. So I'm curious if this is also a fake out. Like, is she going to be conflicted when she's doing this? But I love the fact that they're bringing back the Quicksilver method. At least you would hope, right? And I
Right.
think it wouldn't be shown for any old reason, I think. So I'm
Right.
excited.
Right. And Peter, your thoughts? I know if you got to go, you got to go. But if you have thoughts on this.
Yeah, I have so many thoughts on this. You know, it could be a bit of a trickery. You know, the way that they're splicing this with the Daniel shots. You know, if you guys remember, with Daniel, who is Miyagi-Do, is training under Terry Silver. You know, he was conflicted between the two dojos. Is Torri starting to kind of question her allegiance to Cobra Kai? You know, is Kreese around? You know, maybe she starts to kind of like, I don't know about, you know, learning under one Terry Silver. And maybe Terry Silver, being the smart man that he is, maybe he senses this. Is this punishment to Torri? You know, is he punishing her for maybe not going all in with his methods when she was training under Kreese for some time? You know, also we're going to see another shot, and I don't know the sequence order, but later on we're going to see that she is kind of wearing more of her natural hair color. This one still looks a little bit darker from the previous season. So I'm thinking that this is kind of early on in season 5, where maybe we might see them kind of drift apart, Torri and Cobra Kai. So that's something to kind of keep an eye on. But yeah, this can go so many ways. This one I would say is kind of juicy because it's like, what is going on? You know, some things are kind of like, okay, well, that's a good establishing shot. We can kind of get an idea of what is going on. But this one, like Drew, you mentioned her, the expression on her face.
Yeah.
You know, is she conflicted? You know, that's kind of going to be the thing between Torri and Sam this season. You know, that they are both kind of having like internal battles with the kind of identifying themselves and kind of where their allegiance is. So it's going to be crazy to watch these two characters in season 5 for sure.
Right. Blix is saying maybe because she's protesting against his methods. And then Lucifer says, I'm not sure if this is really the Quicksilver method, because in the next shot, there are more people who are watching her. And we're going to get to that next shot in a second. And I just want to say that this is amazing. This is an amazing shot to me because it really feels like Daniel in Karate Kid 3. Like it's that same look, you know, that conflict.
Yeah.
And so there's Daniel with that similar dummy in Karate Kid 3. Then we have the dummy here. And it's interesting because I don't know if this is a wood dummy or not. It almost looks like I don't know if that's padding. Is that?
It's tough to tell. You're right.
I do have another thing to add. You know, if there is one, whose face is it?
I was thinking the same.
Because we saw how season 4 ended with Torri and Amanda, and they shared some sequences together. And, you know, maybe she's starting to warm up to the LaRussos. I mean, she was invited back to the house where Amanda helped her get back into school. Is this Terry pushing Torri towards to like attack Sam at some point? And is that Sam's photo? And is Torri kind of like, you know, I'm not down with this. Like, I was starting to get along with Amanda here, who's helping me out in life. And so, yeah, you know, that's, again, a plotline that we can kind of keep an eye on.
You know what's interesting too about this shot is the two guys in the back. They almost look a bit older.
There's 3 of them.
There's 3.
Yeah, there's another one. Yeah.
So now those could be other senseis.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I don't know. I guess Terry would have to kind of adjust his teaching methods, right? He couldn't get away with having kids hit a wood dummy this time. Like that probably wouldn't fly in like a super marketable chain, because it does look like there might be padding on this dummy this time, but I guess it's still painful. Yeah. Anyway, that's fascinating. Okay, so here's Daniel, and he's basically telling Amanda that's why we have to take him down. So obviously that's what they're going to do this season with Chozen. To Peter's point, Wild Man Beyond, thank you for the super chat. It says he thinks it will be Sam's face. So okay. So here we go. Terry Silver. Here's the next shot. And he's saying, you're playing with fire, Danny boy. So we're getting ready for that tee up. But Drew, so
Yeah.
Terry Silver. So this is kind of a new thing. Like we didn't hear him say this in Karate Kid 3. This is kind of a new saying, this whole like playing with fire.
I like the fact that he's taunting him by saying that, right? Because he's telling him, like, he's not saying like cut it out. He's telling him like you're gonna get burned. Basically, he's
Right.
not telling him stop. He's taunting him basically, like, hey man, you're gonna get burned. Go ahead if you want, but you're playing with fire, and he doesn't know the extent of what his actions may have, or the consequences of what may come from playing with this fire. And I love the fire in Terry and how he's saying it too. So I love that line, and I like that it's used throughout the trailer too. And now it seems like, and I saw Let's Be Water put some awesome art out there too,
Yes.
with some of these things. With Terry specifically, it was awesome. So amazing artwork. Go check it out on Instagram. But
yeah, absolutely. Mark, Let's Be Water is super talented. Everyone go check him out. Let's Be Water. Peter, what are your thoughts?
You know, I was just thinking when you kind of mentioned the Daniel Boy line, every epic trailer thus far has used like some of the legacy songs in a certain way. Like my favorite is the use of Cruel Summer by Kari Kimmel in season 2. Beautiful trailer. Unfortunately, you know, post Netflix move fans, I don't know if that's still available now, because Netflix, like, they kind of changed it, and I don't believe that song is used. I could be wrong, but I do wonder if, like, just that line, Danny Boy, I wonder if they're going to be, you know, kind of cute with it and use a Danny Boy song at some point. Like, that'd be kind of cool if we got like one of those haunting versions of that in like the next trailer or something. That's kind of what's missing from this particular trailer, is like that epic song that they have used previously. We heard a little a different version of "You're the Best." Yeah, "You're the Best" in season 4, right? If I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was season 3.
it was one of them.
So many great trailers out there. Even the Legacy trailer, maybe that was one with "You're the Best." But anyway, obviously, you know, this is like a similar line to, like, you know, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. You know, like, it's very that
Right.
same type of delivery.
Right.
You know, with this one. Oh,
right.
He's so good.
Well, now we're getting here's the classic line. This is the breakout line. Everyone just cheers, and I am gasoline. That's what Chozen says back to Terry Silver. So, I mean, at this point, Drew, and everyone watching, for me, one of the greatest things about Cobra Kai is that all these characters that were kind of siloed off in their own movies in the original Karate Kid trilogy or quadrilogy, they never interacted. But here in the Cobra Kai series, they can now interact. And this is a moment I think we've all been waiting for. What happens when Terry Silver interacts with Chozen? Like, this is something that I don't think anyone ever thought was going to happen in a million years.
Yeah.
So Drew, I mean, I know you have affection for all these movies going back decades. What is this like for you to see these two in the same scene?
It's incredible, because for the longest time, you know, we had been like thinking about, as fans, what would happen when Johnny met Terry Silver. But I think when you look at this season, or the second movie, Chozen is such an awesome character, and then you have Terry from the third movie. I keep saying seasons, but the third movie, who is such an awesome character. And you mentioned it earlier. Nobody ever thought, because people distanced themselves from Karate Kid 3. It was sort of like the one that people don't talk about as much, and 2 is the pinnacle, right? Even though I've always loved 3. But when you get these two together, I mean, I'm going to sound dramatic in saying this, but I think you guys will appreciate it. But it's historic. I mean, and I think the fact that someone mentioned in the chat earlier, like the Karate Avengers.
Yes.
I'm a huge comic book fan. So you think about like the Avengers, the Justice League, and it's like you read a single Batman comic, and when you get Superman pops in there, like, that's awesome. So it's kind of like watching, you know, a Superman and a Batman interact, or like an Iron Man and you know, a Spider-Man or something like that. And it's like so cool, because they have such huge followings of each of the characters. Like Peter was saying earlier, he's a huge Chozen fan, and I'm a huge Terry fan. And you get these two together, and the fandoms coming together. It's just awesome. And then you've got Daniel in the back, like, you know, Daniel's obviously interacted with all of them, and you watch him, and what's he thinking? Like, I'm putting myself in the character's head of Daniel, because he tried to explain to Johnny who Terry was, and Johnny's like, I never heard of that guy, like, whatever. You know. Right. And then he finally meets him. But it's a historic moment, and I think you know, it's going to sound dramatic saying that, but I really mean it when it's just so fulfilling as a fan of the series and the movies to finally see this happen. And I got to thank the showrunners, the writers, the creators for giving the fans these moments. And they're done well too. It's not, hey, let's have these two talk to each other just for the heck of it. It's done for a reason, and they've been building up to it. It would have been so easy in season 1 to just drop everybody in here, but the fact that it's been built up and just created to this moment and the gasoline on the fire. I mean, I can't wait. I just can't wait. So I rambled there, but I'm so excited.
No, I share your excitement. This is absolutely amazing. We have a couple super chats. Thank you guys for the super chats and supporting the channel. Wildman Beyond, forget Karate Avengers. How about Karate Expendables? That could happen too. That could totally happen. And I know people have been speculating we might see Sylvester Stallone show up in Cobra Kai at some point. Wildman Beyond also says Chozen just stole the season with that line. Peter, I have a feeling you agree with that comment.
I have no thoughts on the scene, you know. So much to unpack. This is where I'm kind of waiting to make my statements and
Sure.
dip out here. You know, I never would have thought that Chozen and Terry Silver would have shared a screen together. It just that the idea never crossed my mind. Now, one picture I have seen that I've seen often out in social media is I think it's black and white if I'm not mistaken. It might be color. I'm sure there's a color version of it, but it's from the 80s. I don't remember what year, late 80s for sure. You have Billy Zabka in the picture, Sensei William Christopher Ford, who was then Christopher Paul Ford. Yuji is in the picture. Those three, and I believe a young woman, maybe another gentleman that's in it. Yuji has told me probably in that first interview that there was an idea kicking around to bring those bad guys from Karate Kid 1 and 2 for part 3. You know, so
Right.
that was something that was kind of floating around. And so, like, you know, knowing that Chozen was coming back for season 4, I was like, oh, that picture, that's becoming a reality, you know. And I just never, for whatever reason, I never thought about, oh, what about when Chozen and Terry Silver finally meet? You know, obviously, like, it was almost like one of those thoughts that like everyone was going to think about it. And I think I just kind of forgot, you know, with all the other things that I was kind of considering. And then when we get this moment finally where like, oh, Chozen and Terry are in the same screen, I think the impact of that freaking line was so powerful that it undercuts this very moment of Chozen and Terry Silver in the same freaking frame.
Right.
You know, so like, so I had a different perspective on it where I think a lot of people were like, holy shit, you know, yes, Chozen and Terry Silver, you know, on screen together. For me, it was just like, oh my God, Chozen, that was such a badass line that I wasn't even thinking about anything else. So I hope that wasn't the intent, and I'm almost certain that wasn't. But that line, man, it just caught, you know, so much fire that I think it kind of undercuts this very moment, this very epic moment of these two powerhouse actors and characters together. But just the way that Chozen almost brushes Daniel off for a second to step into Terry Silver's face, and the animated reaction of Chozen, like, I am the gasoline, you know,
Right.
and I am gasoline. So yeah, it's just, yeah, it's fire.
It is fire, and
It reeks of
everyone.
gasoline.
Indeed, and everyone's saying now. Ariel's saying we want to see Chozen and Terry Silver fighting. Hobby says the two best fighters in the show facing each other. It's going to be epic. So everyone's anticipating that these two are going to fight.
It's
awesome.
I
I will have to depart, and I would like to leave a bit of a tease. I'm not usually one for theories. You know, like often, like, you know, I'll do a live, or maybe I'll jump in someone's lives, and people ask me like, oh, what is, like, do you have any theories for the upcoming season, kind of thing. And for me, like, I want to see things before I theorize, because I wanted to base off of facts and information, because I think that's just more fun, you know, to look back and be like, man, I was so close. But, you know, I'm not a big fan of people just kind of like baseless allegations, you know, to take something from the Cobra guys, that they do that for fun. You know, I don't want to say like, oh, this happens, but like, well, what are you basing that off of? Because I want to see how you get there. I want to see your B. You're giving me A and C, but what's your B? You know.
Well, Peter, we trust you. We know if you have a theory, it's well thought out. So we're going to listen to you. So please
Okay.
feel free to share.
So you know, you have some people in here, so I can share this with you guys. And so for those that aren't watching, hopefully they check out our breakdown. But I've been sitting on this even before I feel season 3 came out, and I think with this particular trailer, I think I'm kind of, I feel good about it. Like it still may not happen,
Okay.
but as big of a Chosen fan I am, I feel there's a possibility that Chosen dies defending
man.
Daniel.
Oh.
And how fitting would it be for him to die honorably? A
Yeah.
character who we saw in part 2 throwing around the word honor, making the audience, you know, kind of question, Chosen, do you know what honor means? I don't know if you actually know what honor means, buddy. You know, and in season 3, we find out he's got no kids, no wife, right? So to somebody who likes to pay attention to details like that, you're like, ooh, interesting way to kill off a character. But also, that's also too easy. You kill off a character with no family. That doesn't really impact us, right? But you give us a badass line in a trailer, one like "And I am gasoline." You know, you're like, yeah. So everyone's rooting for Chosen. How impactful would it be to kill off that character as well?
Oh my gosh,
You know,
Peter.
in the same vein.
Guys,
You,
if you've just tuned in, Peter just gave us a bomb of a theory that Chosen could die.
think
Maybe
about
that's his idea.
think about the things that we have been hearing from every. You know, Ken, you were with me at Paley Fest. I asked Ralph and Billy, give me one word to describe season 5. They were giving me all these words. The TB3 has given us these words in other interviews that we have watched. I recently interviewed Joel Nova, who directed episodes 405 and 406, and from what I understand, at least 3 episodes in season 5. He said the word massive when we introduced or when we interviewed him. And so I'm like, how are you guys going to compete with your previous 4 seasons? Kill off a character, in my opinion. I mean, that just, again, you know, this is like you guys, Terry, you know, you big Terry Silver fans saying that Terry Silver could possibly die. Like, it pains me to say that. And just imagine like the feeling of that. Like, man, Chosen got that. And you know, like if you think about the like World War II and like the soldiers from Japan who sacrificed themselves, you know, and all of that, like, you know, it just kind of like it all kind of like makes sense, like how that could even, you know, happen.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah.
Well, Peter, thank you so much for sharing that right before. My gosh, that gives us a whole other things to think about the rest of this stream as we talk about the trailer. Thank you so much for sharing, for being here, everyone. Peter, Cobra Kai Companion Podcast. He is connected so deeply with the show. Go check out his podcast. Links in the description. Peter, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely, you guys. You know, shout out to the chat. You know, the way this set up, like, I wish I was able to read it, but I'm sure I can go back and scroll through the video on YouTube. But best believe I will be tuning in once I resume work here, and if I have any comments, I'll throw it in the chat or something. You know, but I'm going to be listening to you guys while I work now. So
okay, great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right,
thanks, Peter.
Drew.
Take care, Peter.
Ken?
Thanks for coming, man.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We'll
All right,
talk
I'll
to
see
you
you guys
soon.
later. All right.
All right, bye.
That's
Wow,
a bombshell
Drew.
of a theory there.
That was crazy, Drew. What do you think? Like, is that we'll get back to the trailer in a second. We're stepping through the trailer, but let's just follow up on that theory that Chosen could die in season 5.
I never thought that I never even thought about that, but I mean, I don't want to say that it's not possible because, you know, Peter brings up a good point. He's talking about defending the honor and sort of redeeming. So we talk about redemption arcs a lot on this show. And everyone really does tend to get one, or it seems as if everyone traditionally gets a redemption arc on the show so far. I mean, it would be fitting, wouldn't it? Just him trying to defend the honor and make up for maybe the problems that him and Daniel had in the past, but it would be a bombshell. And then when they say, wow, like the craziest, most epic season you've seen, it would be nuts. I wouldn't put it past them, but I kind of hope it doesn't happen selfishly just because I love the character. But this show has definitely not shied away from emotional moments, but that's definitely one that I don't think we've seen. So it would be interesting. What do you think, Ken? I don't know.
Well, I have a whole deep deep thoughts on the idea of killing characters kind of in long running franchises. I think in general, you should probably stay away from it, maybe because you want them to stick around. Sometimes I have a problem if characters come back after decades and then they die.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we just got you back then. But if it serves the story, then that's the main thing.
Yeah.
But the problem is too, it's sort of like it has to be really well done, because if
Yes.
it's not a well done death scene, it's kind of like, oh, it's kind of disappointing, especially if it's a fan favorite. But if
Yeah.
they decide to do that, I know that the writers of this show will do a phenomenal job, because they just know
Yeah.
how to do this. Now, Adam says, Drew, the most satisfying death will be Terry. Oh my gosh. That could happen. I sure hope it doesn't. I think everyone needs Terry Silver lurking in the world. Even if he
Yeah.
doesn't win this battle, I wouldn't take him out of the picture, would you?
It's funny because I don't want this to happen at all, and I really don't want it to happen. And I agree with the comments that are saying I hate when actors gets killed off, because from my perspective, especially with Terry, we've spent, 30 plus years hoping to see him again, and here we are, we finally get him. And I know the bad guy never wins. It doesn't happen. And even
Right.
when you want it to happen and then it does happen, you kind of feel this empty feeling inside. I did not feel that when Terry won at the end of last season. I stood up from my couch and I cheered. And I want Terry to win in this whole thing, and I wouldn't be upset if I saw Cobra Kai all over the United States and not just the San Fernando Valley, the
Right.
beautiful San Fernando Valley. But I want Terry to win, and I don't think it's going to happen. And I guess I'm preemptively feeling the disappointment of when it's sort of the same as the end of Karate Kid 3. But I'll live in the moment, because he's running triumphant right now, and we got to appreciate that, because I never thought we'd even see what we see right now. So I appreciate that. So
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And Peter, he was just with us, but he's saying the other thing is, I don't see season 5 ending happily. So that's a
Yeah.
good point. Ariel says, Ken Cole, you're my idol. Well, Ariel, I think you have great taste.
I agree
Great
with
taste
that,
in
Ariel.
idols. That's great. There's also kind of like another interesting comment, and we'll get back to this. Amir says maybe his death lets Daniel embrace his inner Cobra Kai. Full offense in season 6 with Johnny. So
Yeah.
wow. Well, Drew, we are partway through. Should we keep going? We're
I
gonna
love
muscle
this.
our way
I
through
love
this
it.
trailer, guys. I hope we are going through the entire trailer shot by shot. We've been going scene by scene. We have had probably the most detailed analysis of this trailer that you'll find on the internet, and we're happy that you're here with us to give us your comments and join us in discovering all the secrets, everything that we can know about season 5. So we just got done talking about Yuji and Ralph in the same scene as Thomasy and Griffith. So this was the I Am Gasoline line, which is absolutely incredible. Okay, so Drew, it cuts to this. And we
Yes.
see this is Johnny. He's leaving a convenience store, which I'm guessing could be in Mexico.
Yes. I'm conflicted on this storyline, and it might be controversial to the people that are watching this. I don't know, because I've become such a huge fan of Johnny Lawrence, and I mean, I think everyone was, but taking him off the board, so to speak, I get why they need to do it, and I get why it has to happen. But I've also watched things in the past where it's like they take characters off and put them on the side and have him do this thing. Now, I guess it's good because he's got Robbie and Miguel with him too. So it's not just him off doing his own thing. There are some major characters doing this.
Right.
But I think having them off, I hope it's not the whole season, like this whole season long arc of them in Mexico. I hope that it's done, with purpose. And it seems like it's going to be to get Miguel and Robbie back on good graces of each other, if they ever were or were not.
Right.
But it looks like it'll be funny. I mean, I definitely agree with that. But I'm torn on how long I want to see this go. Now, Johnny's a hilarious character and it's written very well, so I'm going to trust the writers on this. But I'm a little, I have some trepidation about it. I don't know if you agree with that, Ken. I'm not sure what your perspective is.
Well, it's interesting. It's a definite change in location. I could see the appeal in terms of just shaking it up. Like, oh my gosh, we're going to sort of a new world. We've spent the entire show in the valley, and so you're right. That could be exciting, but that could also kind of change the tone of the show a little bit. My own thing is that they have done such an amazing job balancing all these characters and these storylines within the confines of a half-hour show. 10 episodes. So obviously, this is going to take a chunk of time during those 10 episodes for season 5. So yeah, I agree with you. It's like, hopefully there's like enough time, like nothing feels too rushed. It all makes sense. These guys have worked miracles with this series so far. So, but yeah, it's really something to note. And Drew, I will be looking forward to talking about this with you after it comes out, because we'll see
Yeah.
how effective these Mexico sequences are.
Did they
That's
show
for
what he
sure.
bought in there? I mean, he's got to have beef jerky. He's got to have some. I'm trying to think what else. What else does Johnny eat? He's got
Right.
the banquet beer. I'm sure he's got that, or maybe he's got Corona down in Mexico. I
Right.
don't know what he's got in there, but he's got to have some beef jerky and some unhealthy snacks.
I know it's pretty funny though, because like we see this shot,
Yeah,
and he's like, this is right after he's
I
coming
love the
out.
Cinderella shirt.
Yeah, and it's it's Cinderella Shake Me, or something like that. And then the glasses, it looks like he still has a tag hanging
Yeah.
off the sunglasses, and which reminds me of, I don't know if anyone's watching who's seen Terry Silver not Terry Silver, Reed Timmer in the storm chasing videos and documentaries I've done, but this would be a total Reed move of going into gas stations while chasing tornadoes and just buying sunglasses every time and leaving the tag on and stuff like that. So that's pretty funny. But so this is great though, right? Because this is Johnny in Mexico, and he's still Johnny. Like he kind of doesn't care. He's just doing what he has to do to get clothes to accomplish his mission, right?
Johnny's the best, man. I love William Zabka, his whole portrayal of the character of Johnny, and the way that he's written. Like he's the perfect blend of comedy, serious, funny, just everything, and the way. So I'm gonna walk back what I said earlier. Maybe this will be an awesome storyline. I just hope it doesn't. I hope they're not away from the group for the whole time, I guess is my point. But
Right.
I'm excited to see what kind of trouble or mischief he can get into. And I know you probably have a shot of it, but with the shirts that they were wearing, the FBI shirts, but
Yes.
that looks like really fun. I won't get ahead of ourselves, but I think that could be pretty interesting. So
Yeah, absolutely. And we are getting to those FBI shirts, which look, agreed, very funny. We've got, so they're in the car here and they're talking to each other. And Robbie says, how could you take me down to Mexico and not mention we're coming to get Miguel? So that's interesting. It's almost like he tricked Robbie into coming along. And I don't know, is this like Johnny? Is he doing like a plan, hoping that they'll heal their differences if they... Is this Johnny kind of thinking compassionately?
I want to give him the credit, but at the same time, he sort of impulsively left, and it was like an impulsive situation, or it seemed like it was going to be. But I think that it definitely, I would think from a writing standpoint, I think they're going to try to give them that healing moment where they become, at least on some level, okay with each other, as opposed to enemies, given the fact that, he put him in the hospital and broke his back and all that stuff. So I think that this will probably be the start of that redemption arc. But it is an interesting moment because, Miguel was upset because he was, loving Robbie instead of him, and that whole situation there. And now you're having the opposite moment where he's like, why are we going to get him from Mexico? Like it's
Right.
almost, he feels bad. So there's that dynamic of this father and a father figure trying to come to terms with these two, his actual son, and then his sort of almost in a weird way an adopted son,
Right.
and the relationship between the three of them. So that'll be an interesting dynamic to watch, I think.
Right. And Blixting says, I wonder how Johnny will handle the fact that Miguel is his quote son, right, as you were saying, and Robbie is his real son. That's a really good point, because I don't know if things keep going well with Carmen, there could both be his son, they'd be brothers. So that's really interesting. NASA says Robbie stated season 4 he's going to try to stop hating. I'm not thrilled about Robbie's comment. Yep. And Amir says if Carmen and Johnny become serious, these two will be stepbrothers.
That'll be its own. So I'm thinking it's the movie Step Brothers. Them,
right?
There's so much room for activities.
Hey, are you going to do that on the Last Row podcast?
We need to, because I love that movie. It's a great underrated classic.
Yes,
John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell.
Guys, everyone who enjoys Karate Kid and Cobra Kai, I'm just going to take a moment right now. Everyone watching, if you enjoy those movies from the 80s and 90s and even aughts, movies that have that special place in your heart that kind of might be a little bit offbeat or you might not have thought about for 5 years, you need to check out the Last Row podcast. Drew is co-host with Kevin Badway. These two are a dynamic duo, and they step through movie history in the most fun way. And so everyone watching this right now who's a fan of Cobra Kai and the Karate Kid, seriously recommend checking out the Last Row podcast, and there are links in the description.
Thank you, Ken. You're
Drew, If you had a pitch for the Last Row podcast, what would you say?
We're not just a typical, or I don't want to say typical. We traditionally don't necessarily review the movies. We like to live into the world of the movies. So we talk a lot about what's happening off screen. We speculate on sort of random things. When we did the movie Blank Check at one point, we went through and tried to figure out what was the total, how much did he actually spend, things like that.
Right.
But we try to do a lot of movies that you probably forgot you liked, or maybe
Yes.
you didn't realize that you liked. This upcoming week, we have an episode every other Thursday, and we have a movie called Big from 1980s.
Yes,
Starring
Big.
Tom Hanks that we're planning to record here. So those are the types of movies that we do, and we have a good time with it. And thank you for the kind words, Ken. I really appreciate it. It means a lot.
Of course. Yeah. If you're looking for something to do after the stream, check out the Last Row podcast, and then check out Cobra Kai Companion. Okay, so here we go. It's just an aerial shot. It looks like this is down in Mexico. So again, I don't think there's any like information beyond the establishing shot there. And here we see Miguel get off a bus, which could be the same bus we saw him get on at the end of season 4. And I know, Drew, you talked about, you're kind of cautious about this. You don't know exactly how this is going to go. Do you feel like this could be a long arc in Mexico, or do you think they're going to wrap it up in a few episodes?
I've seen shows where this might last an entire season. I think about Game of Thrones a lot, where they took certain characters off the board and they put them in a place, like when Jon Snow was gone for like, a couple seasons with the people at the wall. And I know that's based on the book, so it's not like intentionally done from a show standpoint, but I certainly hope that it's not too long. I'm thinking maybe like my vote would be like 3 episodes, maybe 4. I don't want it to be more than half the season, because I think I like the character so much and I want to see them reacting to what Terry's doing back in the valley. And maybe that's that shot that we were looking at with Peter earlier with the Spirit Halloween store.
Right.
Where maybe Johnny comes back and sees it.
Right.
But I hope it's not more than a couple seasons or a couple episodes during the season. But I have a feeling it could probably last quite a while, depending on what they're going for. What's your take on that? I'm curious. Do you think it's going to be long?
I don't think it's necessarily going to be long. I guess the main thing in its favor is you have this wrap up with maybe Miguel's father, which we might see in the trailer. So I don't know how deep that will be. Like, will that be emotional? Will that have a lot of peril, jeopardy for Miguel? So those things might push it a bit longer, but I would think that everyone, I don't know how they're going to wrap up, because we're not going to have like a tournament necessarily this season. We just had a tournament. So what's the big climax of the season? I'm not sure, but I sure hope everyone can kind of get back at least halfway through. Yeah. And maybe if they are going to bond, like hopefully we get the full-throated Daniel and Johnny bonding with Chozen. That would be incredible. Hopefully we can get Miguel and Robbie coming together, because they've been apart for so long. So I'm hoping we can start to move in that direction by mid-season. Again, I have no idea what the writers plan. They're very good writers, and I'm sure they know what they're doing. But those are just my thoughts. Guys, NASA says, Ken, are you going to set up a paid channel subscription with perks on YouTube? In the comments, let me know if you're interested in doing something like that, because that could be a lot of fun. Okay, so we have this quick shot of Carmen, and she's on the phone. She obviously looks worried, but I guess probably she's getting confirmation that everyone's still okay. Or maybe she's worried about her ex-husband or something like that. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think of Carmen's storyline, her position this season?
I'm interested to see where it goes, especially with the Miguel and Johnny dynamic and everything that happened last season, and the way that her and Johnny reconciled, and the dynamic between them as almost like we said, like Johnny being a stepfather almost to Miguel. So I think that dynamic's interesting. I think it depends on how long they're gone, and I wonder if she's getting bad news or something. I don't recall the context in which this was shown, but I think when, she's got that look of concern on her face, is he saying, hey, you can't find her, or he can't find Miguel? Maybe it's Johnny calling to tell her. It would be interesting to see where this one goes. And I wonder, by taking Johnny off the board and depending on how long they're in Mexico, does it maybe minimize the amount of time that we get to see Carmen and her mother? I like the dynamic of that. And I think, you mentioned earlier that the struggle with some of this is that the show is traditionally around 30 minutes. And I think we mentioned this either on a podcast or something in the past, but you almost wonder, would it be better off being 45 to 60 minutes? I'm not going to complain about more Cobra Kai.
Right.
So, you want to give us a 2-hour show, I'll watch that. But there's so many characters and so many storylines, and even just using Carmen as an example, there's not sometimes enough time to breathe.
Right.
And they do a marvelous job of writing it, I think, given the things that they're juggling. So it's definitely not a criticism on the writing. I think it's almost you almost wish that it was a little bit longer, and these storylines could marinate and breathe a little bit more. So
Right.
I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, I do. I think it's wonderful and it works. It moves very quickly. It's very interesting, and you always want to, go to the next episode. And the writers do just an amazing job. But I know that's the thing. It's so good. I'd love more. I'd love more character moments, and I'd love to know about these characters a little bit more. So I totally agree. Robana, thank you for the super chat, by the way, Robana. Thanks for supporting the channel, guys. Every super chat supports this channel. She says, this is, I said this in a comment somewhere. Johnny is trying to get Miguel and Robbie to bury the hatchet before he proposes to Carmen.
Yeah.
And that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So that you want to have a happy family, right? So let's move on. Okay, Drew, and everyone watching. This is really interesting. It looks like Miguel, and he's with someone. You see someone, Miguel's on the right and someone's to his left, and his arms going up. And we don't know who that is. It definitely doesn't look like
They
Johnny.
don't tell us. I don't think. Yeah.
Right. We don't know who that is. And they're in this arena with caged MMA fighting, it looks like.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts here? Because this is a whole new world for this series.
It's interesting because we haven't seen anything like this. We mentioned they took them to a whole nother country at this point. They're in a it's almost like a club or something. I mean, it's an arena, and I want to know who's fighting. So the big question is, like, is this a way they're going to try to introduce another character? Is there significance to the people that are actually in the cage? I don't know. And it's just an interesting dynamic to see where they're going and how long, or is this going to play a part in the storyline itself. And I think, there's another shot that you're getting to. I think we mentioned the FBI shirts.
Mhm.
Like Johnny is trying to find them. So I'm curious about what significance this is going to play in the overall storyline, or if it's just, hey, they just happen to be here. I hope that they're like going to see someone of significance to fight, and maybe that this has some perspective or adds something to the character development here. But I'm very curious about this particular shot in the scene from the whole overall trailer. It's one of the more interesting shots, I think.
Indeed. And listening to everything you were saying, it made me think of something. Tell me if you think, guys, if this could be right. Miguel, okay, is looking for his father. His father is somehow tied in with this racket, this fighting racket, right? And Miguel has to get in somehow. So I wonder, I'm seeing two guys fight. Do you think Miguel will fight? He'll be a contestant in this and have to sort of like fight his way through, like to rise up the ranks to get the attention of his father or something like that. And
that would be awesome.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just thinking, like, there are fighters there and Miguel can fight. Like, is he going to wind up in that cage fighting?
I'm imagining, like, we talk about 80s movies like Kickboxer and Bloodsport and all these, the Kumite, you got the Kumite going.
Yes.
It would actually be pretty awesome to watch Miguel have to go through that, almost like a gauntlet, just to get to his dad or earn his father's respect or something. Like, not that that's the way you do it, but it would be an interesting angle to take from his development in particular. I think that's pretty cool. I see a bunch of chat comments about Mike Barnes. I've read about that beforehand, people speculating, like, could Mike be part of this? I don't know that he will, because I'm wondering if that's why we haven't really seen Kreese. And I think maybe Kreese not being shown is maybe there's some connection to Barnes. And I know Sean Kanan's like sort of teased, is he going to be there or not? He can't say, obviously. It would be really cool to see him in the cage here, but I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how they would write that, I guess. Like, why is he down there? And I kind of hope it's not connected, because I think having Barnes in the show, in a way, I don't want him to be someone's father or someone's cousin's roommate. Like, just let him be Mike Barnes, and I would like it that way better.
Yeah, that would be wild if that's how all the characters meet. If Mike Barnes was in Mexico fighting, and Blixing says, maybe Miguel's dad is the boxer. That's an interesting idea too. And then Lucifer says, whoever this person is, the person on the left, he's putting up his hand to Miguel's shoulder. So my guess this could be his dad.
Yeah.
That's interesting too.
Maybe they're bonding over the event or something, to your point. And I agree with Peter. Lionheart. Yes. That's a great movie too.
Yes. Peter. That's another classic Van Damme movie. Thank you, Peter. And then Blixting, imagine if Carmen were just lying to them all, and the real truth is that Miguel's dad is dead.
That's happened in storylines too, where or maybe she didn't know, and maybe that happened, or maybe she did say, "Oh, he lives in Mexico," and it's
Right.
like, okay, so he didn't go off and feel bad about it or something like that. Who knows? But
Right.
yeah,
Okay, so we're going back to the car. So they're talking to each other, and Robbie's like, "Do you even have a plan?" Johnny's like, "Of course I do. I'll ask around if anyone saw Miguel." And then Robbie's like, "That's the big plan." And during that time, we see Drew, the FBI shirts. Okay, so everyone has talked about these FBI shirts. Yeah, what hits you about these FBI shirts?
it's such a Johnny moment. I mean, it's like that's exactly Johnny's plan. Like, oh, I'm in the FBI. Like, let me in, of course. That's where we talk about the storyline and maybe the comedy aspect of it and the comedic angle from it. I'm excited to see that because I think this could be a funny moment of him trying to get into this. I don't know if it's an underground ring. It looked like there was some official, like a logo on one of the sides of the octagon there. I don't know if that's of any significance. I don't know if this is an underground fighting situation,
right.
but I love the disguise, right? I'm just surprised he doesn't have like the glasses with the mustache too on top of it because it's such a funny moment.
Right. I think that's so funny because you go to the next shot. Look at that.
Yeah. Oh,
it's a
yeah.
female body inspector.
Which is another Johnny moment, right? Because
Yes.
that's just like he would. Of course, he's probably pretending that's that actual FBI shirt. These guys are going to laugh him out of the club here, whatever the heck it is.
Yeah, that's incredible. But it means that somehow Miguel is at this club and long enough that Johnny and Robbie are following his trail. So I wonder if Miguel will spend some time here before they track him down.
Yeah, I'm interested to see this part of the Mexico storyline. Like, if there is some underground fighting ring or something like that, I want to see that for an episode or two because I think that would be pretty cool.
Absolutely. Amir says Robbie has a black eye, so I wonder what happened. Oh yeah, you're right.
I didn't even notice that.
I didn't
That's
notice. That was great. Wow, that's wonderful. Yeah. Okay, let's move on here. Okay, and then Robbie basically says, "So that's your plan?" And then here we go. Johnny gets in a rumble. It looks like Robbie doesn't want any part of it.
That's a good shot there.
It is. Look at that. Look, everyone in the crowd's like, "This is awesome. This is great."
That's awesome.
And then, yep, with the female body inspector shirt. He's
such a great shirt.
It is. And then, yep, here's the end of the fight scene here. So that's interesting. Obviously, you've got three really good fighters, Miguel, Robbie, and Johnny, going into this professional caged fighting situation. So I wonder if Johnny will wind up in the cage.
I would like that. I would like that a lot, especially to see him try to compete because it would be awesome. It looks like a legitimate place too. It doesn't look like, some seedy underground place. It looks like it has logos and actual like, I don't know, branding on the mat and stuff. So maybe it is an organized sport fighting type thing down there.
Yeah, it looks like families and kids almost. Like if you look at that crowd, very young people. So yeah, this must be above board. Let's see. Okay, so now we're going back to the Cobra Kai dojo. And at this point, Johnny says, "We all get shit wrong sometimes."
Yeah.
And then, and he's saying that as he's walking up to the wall. So this is interesting. So he's maybe thinking about how he got all this wrong. So Drew, what do you think about Johnny? Did he get stuff wrong? Did he do more right than wrong?
I think he had his own way of doing things, but I do think he had good intentions because he was, it's almost like emotionally and abused by Kreese for many years. And we saw Kreese try to redeem himself with Torri in the previous season and all that. But when you think about what Johnny did, I mean, he was trying to give some kids something to do and help them out. And I think he had good intentions. He's got his own Johnny way of doing it, right? You can see with him and trying to train Daniel with the whole montage, right? Shoveling coals and all that kind of stuff. But I think he intended to do more good than bad. And I think maybe he did some bad things unintentionally throughout the way just because he's sort of damaged in his own right. But he was trying to, I think, do the right thing. And maybe this is him coming to terms with all of that and realizing what happened,
Right.
especially after maybe he's coming back from Mexico, or maybe this is before he leaves. I don't know.
Right.
But I think, having said that, I personally think he tried to do the right thing. And I don't think he's like Kreese coming back trying to on purpose manipulate people. Terry Silver coming back trying to on purpose manipulate people. I think
Right.
he's deep down a good person. He's just got his own way of doing things.
Yeah, and that's something I always admired about Johnny. If he was a bad guy in some people's eyes, a really redeeming quality for him, for me, is that he's always straight up with you.
Yeah.
Like, he's not doing, like, Daniel can get passive aggressive and like all that stuff, but Johnny won't. He tells you what he thinks. You know where you stand with him, and I think that's a great quality.
Yeah.
Blixting says he might get a flashback looking back at the words. Amir asks, maybe this might be the new Eagle Fang dojo.
Could be. Yeah.
Because Terry doesn't seem to be, unless this is a flashback, maybe they just left it the way it was.
I think the one thing you mentioned about him versus Daniel, which is really interesting, is I think I mentioned on one of your previous streams, I sort of didn't like Daniel last season because he was almost like this proud guy that just had his way of doing it. You have to do it this way. You saw the interactions with him and Sam and his daughter during the whole the tournament. And you mentioned earlier, Johnny's not pretending to be anybody that he isn't. And I respect that about him. He lays it all out there. He's himself. And Daniel's he can't let go of Miyagi's teachings. He can't take in anything else. And I get that that was a formative years for him, but I just respect Johnny a lot because he's just himself. And I think that's why I gravitate more towards him as a character versus Daniel seems a little bit more stuffy these days. Maybe he'll loosen up a bit throughout this whole process.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree with that. I'm rooting for Daniel to become looser, like you say, now here's another shot. This is different. I don't think we've really seen this much in Cobra Kai. This almost looks like a dream sequence or a vision or something like that. Johnny over this is saying, if you own up to your mistakes, and then he then goes on to say, actually for this shot, he's saying, if you own up to your mistakes. So we have, I don't know. What do you think here? Something's going on in Sam's brain.
I don't know if this is, like you said, it's actually happening or it's her thinking in her head, sort of like it's almost like a vision scene or something like that. But I'm curious to see where this is going to go because she's thanks, Amir. I appreciate that. I think it's interesting because she's obviously conflicted from the last part of the season where Tori's winning and all of the stuff that went down, and then the conflict that she had when she was trying to learn. She didn't like Johnny's teachings at first. She was, this is stupid. I'm not going to do this. And then she kind of came around and it opened her eyes to, hey, maybe there are other ways to do these things. So I'm curious why they overlaid her picture with that. And maybe it's the mistakes of how he treated the kids and all of that. But I'm wondering if this is in her head or this is happening. You see the cheerleaders in the back.
Yep.
I can't tell that's Lakers gear or something else, but it looks interesting.
I think that's a flashback to the Halloween dance in season 1.
Oh yeah, that's right, man.
When they all were wearing those costumes together.
It's been a while. That's true. That's a good call. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think about this? Do you think it's in her head, or you think it's like a memory?
I don't know. We're going to see some shots coming up that are very interesting that remind us, I think, of other franchises, light versus dark and that type of thing. This might be the first time she's really trying to reconcile that part of her that's giving her fear, that's making her angry at Torri. And the interesting thing is that we're doing this in the context of Terry Silver ruling the universe. So what's going on here? Terry Silver traumatized Daniel, obviously. And Terry Silver, I don't know if he would start to get in his hooks into someone like Sam. I'm wondering if he's playing mind games and she's really conflicted inside about who she is and what she's going to do. That's just my guess. If you ask me to speculate, I'm always going to try to bring Terry Silver into it.
It's definitely the Terry playbook, put it that way.
Yes. This is Cobra Kai Karate says, I think she'll be looking all the bad things she's done, like at the Halloween party, and it'll be a scary nightmare for her.
Yeah.
Interesting. Right, because she was kind of allowed the meanness to happen back then, right?
Yeah, she let that darkness in a way, so to speak, and I like there's a lot of comments in here about that. It's a good point, like
Mhm.
the way that she's maybe thinking about her regrets, things that she did poorly or badly, past
Right.
choices. There you go. That's a really good call, and I think especially the way that I think Jasmine and Moon are in the back, they're like lit that way,
Right.
which is interesting. It makes it look like that it's that sort of dreaming sequence and or memories.
Yeah, absolutely. Then we get this shot.
Hmm.
It's kind of a spinning shot, and then we get this very briefly, and over this, we hear Johnny say, "You always have a shot at making things right." And then we have Hawk, and he's standing there with his trophy from the All Valley last time.
Hmm.
So I'm wondering, I don't know, what do you think this might signify, that
It's
moment?
I think it's showing like he did the right thing, right? Because he left Cobra Kai and he went back to sort of the Miyagi-Do side, even though it was sort of the Miyagi-Do Eagle Fang combination there. But he won and
Mhm.
he did it his own way, but he won and he had that redemption arc. And I think it's maybe you said it and some of the viewers said it. Sam looking through all of these choices that she made, thinking, okay, I need to redeem myself for what I did. And she didn't do anything that bad comparatively to some of the other characters, although she did let that negative influence and sort of the anger, the rage. We talk about Star Wars. She sort of went a little bit to the dark side and channeled that anger and rage. But
Right.
maybe that's where and they're showing Hawk as that almost a good example of maybe a redemption story there. And his churn made him win and he got triumphant because of it, so to speak.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, Cobra Disney Jedi says she could also be thinking about how she let
Mhm.
her father down.
Yep. Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. Um, yeah, I think you make a lot of great points, Drew. It'll be interesting to see how this figures in. Maybe if we keep going. So they cross-cut this with Torri. So Tori's looking at her trophy. Obviously, she feels like that wasn't
Yeah.
maybe a true win. We know Terry Silver bribed the official. What do you think is going through Tori's head here, Drew?
I'm actually this is one of the more interesting storylines that I'm excited to see for this season because
Yes.
when we talk about bringing it back to Terry, I always think about Terry as well, just like you. And I want to know what that relationship's going to be because he was mentoring her. I know Kreese was too, and Kreese had sort of stuck up for her with the apartment situation and all of that, and trying to help her out with the family. Terry comes in and he's got this charming personality for most of that season. For all she knows, he's a great sensei and he's helping out, and she won. And I think, look, she's
Mhm.
a skilled fighter. She could have won regardless of the cheating, I think. Having said that, she overheard that conversation and she's looking at this thinking, man, this is a sham. I didn't actually win this, even though she
Right.
might have, and she might have deserved it regardless. She's a great fighter. So she had talked in the previous season about how she never had anything for herself. She wants to have something. And this was her moment. And now I think she's probably feeling really hollow and really empty by this trophy that she has, which maybe to her doesn't mean anything anymore. And I want to know how that is going to affect her relationship with Silver. That's a really interesting thing that I'm looking forward to seeing this season.
I know. And the idea that she would do the Quicksilver method or something that is going to be painful
Mhm.
under Terry Silver, that's interesting. Like, what does it take? Like, you know that he's shifty, you know that he did something and you didn't really win, but you're still going to endure pain for this
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah. It's interesting, and I think someone said it earlier in the chat. Is she doing it, like, to comply? Is she doing that to maybe rebel? Is she really fully in when she's punching that dummy? It'll be
Right.
interesting to see also where's her headspace at when that moment's happening. Is that part of the conflict, or is she sort of playing along? So I'm
Right.
curious to see where that's gonna go too in the context of that scene.
Right. And God of Mischief saying, agreeing with Drew, Tori looks like she was robbed out of her win and
Yeah.
betrayed by Silver.
Terry will
So
do that to you.
he he will. He will just take you for all you've got to add to his greatness. Okay, so here's a parking lot shot, and this looks like it's back. It looks like the sign here says it's back in California.
Yeah.
So, and it looks like we're going to have a meetup here. We can't quite see who this is in the parking lot, but it looks like it's Miguel, and that looks like Robbie
It
from the
does look
back.
like him. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. I think the sign said water adventure. You gotta I don't know, there's something about 80s movies and 80s shows, even though this is obviously a modern show, but you gotta have a scene at a water park. Thinking about
Yes.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Right.
Think about
Yes.
water parks in all of these shows. Like, let's get a
Waterworld.
water park scene. I like that.
I know that's that's a great point. See, Drew, this is why it's so great to have you on this, because being co-host of the Last Row podcast, you know all of these references from the 80s and you can link them in. So I think that is totally intentional. We need water park stuff. Yes. I think that's great. Let's see what happens. So they bump into each other, they're not friends. Then Johnny's here all of a sudden. So Johnny shows up on the scene, and during this sequence, Miguel's saying, "We're not friends." And then after this, Robbie says, "We never will be." So this looks like it's after Mexico.
Yeah.
Like, obviously it looks like Miguel comes back from Mexico. So Drew, this might point to your wish being that the Mexico thing might not last too long.
That's the one thing that gives me hope, I think, because of the fact that they're still back here and still not friends. It doesn't seem like it's resolved. So maybe that hope for almost like 3 episodes or less, maybe on the table here. I think it's interesting that they showed this again, and as Peter was saying earlier, right? Everything's intentional.
Right.
They're showing this on purpose to maybe telegraph that that's the case, and it's like Johnny's in the middle of them trying to make them reconcile again. So I wonder how long this will go on, because think they all need to team up against Silver. You can't be divided, and I think that's the theme here throughout this whole thing. Everyone needs to get together, because you're not going to beat Terry Silver if you're not on the same page. It's just not possible.
Right.
So
and Peter, following up on your point, Karate Kid has one, golf and stuff, a water park, that is
awesome.
but I agree. You have someone like Terry Silver, and I'm glad they brought him back like this, where he is all powerful. Everyone needs to team up against him.
Yeah.
If they have any hope to take him down, everyone has to get on the same page. Let's see what's next. Okay, so Daniel is basically saying there's only one way to end this. And then we've got the next shot of Terry Silver. We have 3 of them. 3 different shots. Man, look at that. And it looks like, to me, I don't know, Drew, what you think. It's kind of hard to see, but it's dark. But it looks like one of these, it looks like these are kids. In fact, it looks like one of them is Kenny Payne size.
It might be. And this reminds me, we'll go back to Karate Kid 3, him sparring in the silk karate gi. And I can't tell from the lighting if he's got the silk gi out. I hope that he does. At least that red strip looks a little silk. But I keep thinking about him fighting in the Ennis house, and when he was training and he had that guy that he just like paid to beat up. Now he's just taking it out on the students, and he doesn't have, any mercy for these kids. He's going to teach him, look, you want to fight? You want to be Cobra Kai? I mean, we saw it with Stingray at the end of last season. This is an unhinged man. He may or may not be a literal psychopath, as you said in one of your other videos, which I highly recommend everyone go check out.
Thank you.
It's showing who Terry Silver is, and he's not going to hold back on these guys.
No, he's not. And I did a video called "What Terry Silver Wants," and I talked about that exact same thing you brought up about the fighters in the Ennis house, and how he's basically paying these guys to fight him, and they kind of look like chumps. Like they don't put up any defense against him. Now, Terry Silver's an amazing fighter, don't get me wrong, but I would think with Terry Silver's money connections, he could hire really great sparring partners that could give him a run for his money. But those guys weren't putting up a challenge at all. And now it's almost like, why does he do that? And I was saying, like, he likes to be in control. He likes the feeling of winning every time. He wants to make sure he wins. And here it looks like he's enjoying that feeling with kids. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, it could. Peter put in the chat, maybe those are senseis from the earlier. So that would be an interesting take on it too. I thought it was kids, like when I saw it, but I saw it so quickly. If it's the senseis, I think it would make sense. But if it's the kids, it adds a whole nother layer of villainy to this already, 19 out of 20 on the villain scale villain here. Exactly perfect score. So, we almost have to like continually update that thing as we get more Terry, because we did that based on, I don't know how much higher you can go, but it's definitely proving what this guy's all about. And I like that you get the shot in the trailer, because you're also seeing the fancy dojo that they're at too, the way it's darkly lit. He's got the black gi on. These guys aren't standing a chance, man. And he's going to town on them.
Yeah, he really is. That's a great point about the that they could be senseis. Now, for me though, one of these shots here, if you look at it in motion, especially, I don't know if you can see it's dark, but the one on the right, like he looks tiny. Yeah. Like that does look like Kenny Payne size to me. So I'd say there's a chance those could be kids. So
It's an intense face there too.
Yeah, I mean, that's pure. I love that. I'm so glad we're getting some new Terry Silver stuff like that face. Oh, that's a perfect Terry Silver.
Dude, Thomas is a legend. I'm sorry. Like I'm gonna go on a rant here, but Thomas is a
Hang
legend.
on.
KenCast, Thomas Ian Griffith.
Go
I'm
ahead,
so
Drew.
glad you had that.
Let's talk about Thomas Ian Griffith.
Can I just say this for everyone watching? My God, what an amazing actor. And the fact that this guy, for years was not acting. And we did a movie on your last KenCast, Excessive Force, and he was awesome in that. He's awesome in everything. He seems like you met him. He seems like a fantastic person too. Just a great person.
Yep.
Just go watch any of his acting and any of his movies. I hope that by the fact that he's finally getting, some acting again here, or acting opportunities to resurrect this character, to go back. I mean, I'm a huge fanboy, so I'm obviously a little biased, but I hope he gets the respect that he deserves, because he's knocking it out of the park with this character. 15 minutes of screen time last season. I hope he gets the whole season this time, and I'm so excited to see the mythos of Terry Silver continue to build, and it's a lot of credit to the writing, but also Thomas is just knocking it out of the park. He's amazing.
Oh, absolutely. And honestly, Drew, following on that, I would love an entire Terry Silver series.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I'm going to share this with you guys right now. Therapeutically, for myself, I outlined an entire Terry Silver series. I had to do that because the character is just so great, and the idea of Thomas Ian Griffith starring in an entire series, I love that idea.
You need to get that over to the Netflix people, man.
I know. They just have to do us a favor and not kill off Terry Silver.
Yeah.
So okay, we've got Daniel. Here's the next shot, and he said there's only one way to end this. We have to cut the head off the snake.
Mm-hmm.
Which that means decapitate Cobra Kai. That means take out Terry Silver, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, originally it was Kreese, and now it's Terry. He took over. I mean, he's the new head honcho. And I mean, it makes sense. You got to take him out, because otherwise, it's going to continue to build. He's got unlimited resources, unlimited funding, it seems, as it would seem.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter. You go put your coffee creamers out there, you take out one, it doesn't matter. They're going to pop up 5 more.
Exactly.
And he's got the means and the drive to continue to do that. So it's hard to fight him.
It is tough to fight him. Oh, what a great character. My goodness.
Yeah. It's so hard. It's so hard not to get so excited about it. It's awesome.
It really is. Okay. So here we're going back to this dream sequence, which is interesting because we have Sam fighting against, I think, Sam, like evil Sam. Because it looks very similar. She has the sai there, which is Sam's favored weapon. And it looks like this is like a classic light versus dark internal battle. What do you think?
Like Star Wars kind of moment, when Luke sees himself in the Vader helmet and all that stuff. And it's a really cool concept, and I like it, especially if it's sort of a dream or thought sequence, because she's sets up the previous commentary that was said, especially about, Johnny's voiceover and everything there. So I think the internal struggle for her is real, because we saw it, like we were saying before. So I think this will be cool to see how this plays out. I'm interested to see where this is in the context of the season. Is it towards the beginning, the end? Is it because maybe she's getting pulled into to Terry Silver too? You mentioned that earlier. Like, is he trying to take her on as a student?
Yeah,
it's a very interesting concept, and I would love if they went there, because I think she's in a headspace where she could be manipulated by him, especially with the conflict she's got going on, and it's perfect for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And the interesting thing is, she feels here, I think, similar to what we've seen her since season 3. She was very upset, very conflicted, traumatized, and she almost has this expression like she's being attacked. And so, like you said, like all these themes, hopefully we can have Terry Silver get his hooks into Sam.
Yeah.
This next shot has like the bow staff appear, and she kicks it up to her hands. And so the light side, the white side, maybe the Miyagi-Do side or whatever, is armed now, and they fight. Drew, you mentioned this before. You mentioned the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I can't not think about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, I'm thinking Raphael and Donatello.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, so I mean, I don't know. Do you have any more thoughts? This looks like a pretty intense fight.
The size are interesting too, because I thought I maybe I'm misremembering it, but I thought there was another shot at some point, or we saw some of the size. Didn't Torri come at her with a size as well? I forgot what the weapon was that I'm just misremembering. My brain's a little mush right now.
Right.
But I thought when she went at her with something, someone in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but the size might represent that whole piece too. And I think it's interesting to watch the battle. Like, this is such a cool scene, and I just like the two weapons, because, and I don't want to say size are like an evil. Yeah, it's okay. So nunchucks. I don't want to say it size are like an evil weapon, but a bow staff, I know it can be deadly, but in the context of a fight, like a sai can stab you, a bow staff can maybe blunt force trauma and all of that stuff.
Right.
But it's interesting to watch that. Obviously, the dark side with the sais and the bow staff on the good. And Raphael is traditionally a troubled character too, which is kind of an interesting tie back into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes, indeed.
That's right. Sais, okay.
Robana says not looking forward to this scene. It's been done so many times in other shows that it's a trope at this point.
I can respect that.
Yeah. Right. And a lot of people have been bringing up the Rey versus Rey, in Star Wars and everything like that. So we have seen it. And then here's another shot of her fighting. It's interesting. She has a white belt, almost like she's a beginner.
Yeah.
And then we have Johnny, and he's basically saying badass. And this is after Daniel says we have to cut the head off the snake.
Yeah.
So he's happy, but the scene, it looks like he's talking to Carmen.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks like Carmen's hair, right?
Yes. What do you think's happening? He's happy. He's saying badass. What do you think's happening?
I wonder, maybe did he ask her to marry him or something? You guys are saying that maybe he's happy, and that would be how he would say, like, all right, awesome. Especially if he did that. Or maybe there's a true reconciliation between Miguel and Robbie.
Right.
But I like the context of the two of those together and him saying that.
Yeah. I do love that idea, Drew. He proposes and she says yes, and he says badass.
Yeah. I love that.
That's great. I love it. Okay, here's the Cinderella shirt again, with Robbie, and he's kicking.
Is he at a playground or something? Oh, are they there? Okay, yeah.
They might be. I guess they're at the beach. There's a surfer,
boogie board or something.
Yeah. So,
that reminds me of Point Break. You got to go back to another 80s.
Yes,
classic.
Point Break. Yes,
you got to have surfer guys that they got to fight. So I like that he's breaking that in half there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Someone actually said, Ken Cole, I like Chozen's line, "I'm gasoline, but I'm having some difficulty figuring out what it means in that context." Well, okay, so Drew, yeah, so that's kind of an expression. What would you say, Drew? So Terry Silver says you're playing with fire, and guys, we're going back for a second just to that line. He says you're playing with fire, Danny boy, and then Chozen says, "And I am gasoline." So what does that mean to you?
I think Chozen knows, like, hey, I'm taking this thing up a notch. I'm gonna go. He's taking in an X factor. Bring in someone that hasn't been on the board before. We talk about adding things to the board. Here's the gasoline. You wanted to play with fire. Okay, he wants to play with fire. I'm bringing in the gasoline, and it's like almost like reinforcements. That's how I took it, and he's going to take it up a notch. And Daniel's known for his calm demeanor for the most part, right? And his rules of how he fights and whatnot. And Chozen's not about that. Like, Chozen will take it to the next level, and that's how I interpreted it. I don't know if you did it differently, if you interpreted it differently.
Yeah, I think you said it very well. I think that's exactly it. That's exactly what that means. So vent it. Look for things to be taken up a notch. For sure. About the white belts, Manager Mark says they always train with white belts. Peter, hi Peter, says I think Sam's white belt represents season 1 Sam. Makes sense with the Asmund Moon wearing their Laker girls uniforms from the Halloween party. And that's a great comment. If we step back for a second, look at this scene. I mean, the black gi would be Cobra Kai, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it could be.
Sam might join Cobra Kai.
I would like that, actually. I think that would be a cool twist.
That would be a cool twist. That would be great. Yeah. So, okay. Point break, fight on the beach. Okay. So this is really interesting. And we bring this up. Knifing Town says Miguel's dad is an MMA coach. That could be true. I don't know that for sure. I haven't been following any leaks. That could be a guess or a theory, but I'm wondering, is this Miguel's father?
That would be interesting because is he a powerful person down there? I don't
Right.
know what. I mean, they're drinking beer. Are they playing cards? Like, there's money on the table, or maybe this is betting in the context of the fight. But that would be a cool concept if he's this powerful guy, and that would be why Carmen didn't really want him to see him and all of that stuff,
Right.
going back to the previous seasons and what they said about him. But I'm curious about this and where this is, and if this is in the same place, or maybe it's the back room of that MMA arena or something.
Right. And this is a reverse shot, and we can kind of
Yeah,
see this.
and that's Miguel, right? It
That's
looks
Miguel. It's like a back room.
Mhm.
Obviously, there are thugs here, henchmen,
Yeah, there you go, henchman.
and Miguel fights. Oh, here he is, and makes quick work of this guy. So yeah, it looks like kind of a seedy. Like, it doesn't look as nice as that
Yeah.
MMA place. This looks kind of seedy backroom style.
It looks somewhere else. Like, I think someone said a cartel. Maybe it's a cartel or some type of gang or something. And maybe he is like the head of that or something. It's interesting.
Lixing says his father was a criminal. And these are mini bosses.
It's not a henchman. It's a sub boss, the mini boss. I like that, Peter. It's a good
Yes.
distinction. There's definitely a difference.
There definitely is. So that might be that, if we're right, Drew, that might take place within the first few episodes,
Yeah.
actually. So
Yeah.
because this is back, we're back in Reseda.
Yeah.
And they are fighting. Robbie and Miguel are fighting outside of the apartments, which is interesting. I don't know, Drew. I'll say this, like, I love the show and everything. I really kind of hope some of these characters and these rivalries get resolved. Like, I want to see these guys get along. Like, they've fought so much, they've caused so much pain to each other. I'm hoping this is one of their last fights, or the last fight. I don't know. What do you think?
I feel the same, and it kind of comes back to how I was feeling about the Daniel Johnny relationship too for quite a while. It's almost like when people talk about relationships and romances in shows. It's like, will they, won't they, will they, won't they, and they tease the will they, won't they forever, right? Well, you talk about reconciliation, it's the same thing. Will they, won't they? And with Daniel and Johnny, it went on for multiple seasons, and I think this one's been. I mean, obviously, there's a reason he put him in the hospital, and I get it. And then the
Right.
whole thing between the competition for Johnny's affection and respect and all of that. But I agree with you. Like, they need to team up, and it would be nice to finally see them be on the same page. There's other conflicts I think that they could introduce. At a certain
Right.
point, it does become a little bit tiresome. It's like, all right, they're fighting again. So I hope it's the last one too, to your point.
Yeah. And James is offering this spin on it. It could be sparring. They could be sparring.
It's a fair point.
It's a fair point. They look pretty intense. Emma Billy says, yo, finally caught a live video. Hey, great to have you here. And everyone, thank you for watching. We're so glad you're here. And we're deep into this trailer right now. And so thank you for all your comments. Cobra Disney Jedi says they're getting used to fighting each other like normal stepbrothers. I love that comment. Whoa, yep, that's quite a kick. The fight will resolve their problems once and for all. I think conversation after the fight. Jason Don says Miguel and Robbie just need to talk it out and hug after. I think some of these characters definitely they need to talk. They just need to talk. You know what I mean? Let's see. Let's go to the next. Okay. I'm going to give you free reign of this shot. So just talk. You've mentioned this before. We've talked about this. I think this was the first thing you ever mentioned to me after watching this. Give me your thoughts. Give us all your thoughts.
I didn't know. I wasn't sure at what point Ken had seen this. So I sent him a message because if you're a fan of Terry Silver, like, I don't need to say anything. Like, just this picture, I'm going to say a lot here, but this picture, like, I just want to pause for a second. And if you're a fan of Terry Silver, like, you know. So I messaged Ken, I messaged my co-host Badway, I messaged my other friend Julio, and I said to them, I'm like, dude, the steam room, like, come on. And I gotta give a shout out to the show writers and the creators, because this is such a throwback to Karate Kid 3. And I mentioned, like, if you know,
Right.
Man, the sauna steam room, like, I was blown away that this was in the trailer. And I hope it's at the Ennis house. I don't know if it will be, but the fact that this was in here is just such an awesome moment, because I'm going to say this again about the writers, but they respect the fans that have been around since Karate Kid 3 by putting this in here, because it's such a subtle thing. Like, most people, if you've not seen that movie or you're not a fan, you might just see the scene. It's like, okay, cool. He's pretty evil. He's got a bath towel on his neck here. But the fact that this was in here, Man, I did a backflip when I saw this. I was just so happy that they know, and it's such a call back to the fans, and it's awesome little Easter egg there. So, did you go as nuts as I did when you saw this?
I did. Like this is fantastic, and my mind's racing now because I'm like, okay, where is this? I agree. I hope it's at the Ennis house. I would really love. I know it's not likely, but I have hope that he might have his old residence and he might want to embrace his full Terriness and want to be at the Ennis house. So
Yeah.
maybe this could be in that room. If it's not, is it at his house? But if it's at his house, what's his adversary? Because he says, I told you not to play with fire. So he's talking to someone who's kind of an adversary in an intimate steam room setting. And I'm trying to think, how did this happen? Where are we? Could we be at Terry's house? Are we at just some kind of like spa? Are we who's in there with them? Like these are all questions that I don't know. I need answers, Drew. This is really kind of strange, isn't it? I mean, I don't know the context.
I think I saw a comment from Peter in there. He was commenting back on his theory earlier, and I really like this. This sort of hits it home with what Peter was saying before, especially since it's a callback to what he said earlier. You know, I told you not to play with fire. Maybe it could be before, it could be after, and maybe he says it multiple times, and that's when Chozen steps in, or maybe it is in response to something happening to Chozen or someone else. But I like the idea that it was Daniel or someone that he had warned. And it's awesome because it means that Terry's in some way winning, I guess, which is what I want to see. And as much as I like the other characters, it's such an intense moment too. We talk about an intimate sauna, intimate steam room. I mean, there's only, you know, you don't like he's cutting business deals we talked about before in the steam room. He's talking to Kreese on the phone on his Zach Morris cell phone. I hope we get one of those, although they don't exist, I guess, at this point anymore. But what else is he doing in the steam room? Are we going to get multiple steam room shots? I hope so. But I like to imagine he's probably talking to Daniel and he's calling back to what he said earlier in the show. I went nuts over this, and I'm just so excited that this is in there.
Yeah.
So happy.
Me too. Knifing Town says Terry's with Mike Barnes in the sauna.
That would be awesome.
That's interesting. That would be interesting because it's almost like Mike Barnes would need to be, you know, we talked about maybe the idea of him teaming up with Kreese a bit and maybe against Terry. So if that's the case, this line about playing with fire is something that he's going to use on multiple people this year.
It could be his new like catchphrase, to your point, and maybe he says it to a bunch of people, and it could be a good fake out for us too, thinking that it might be related to Daniel or something too. So I hope it's him, and maybe it's one of his students. Because didn't Barnes? Well, Barnes came in when he was in the bathtub, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
He offered him. You know, they were negotiating stakes. So maybe we get a bathtub shot too with the nice little Victorian phone. We need that too.
Oh, that would be great. I'd love that. Emu Billy says dojo spa, which. Hey, the opulence of the dojos now. Maybe they have spas in them.
I wouldn't put it past him. He's going to spare no expense.
Yes, exactly. Let's see. Okay, so next we have Cobra Kai season 5.
Yeah, I like September the red on black. I like the red on black. It's awesome.
Yeah, this is like the first color change, I think, and to go with Terry's new color scheme, right, for the dojos. That makes sense. Dude, I just figured that out right now. They are taking Terry's color schemes and labeling the show with that.
Yeah, I like that. It means he's taken over, and I'm not going to complain about that any day because they could call it. We called it Cobra Kai season 4 : the resurrection of Terry Silver. I don't know what the colon will be for this one, but
the domination.
Yeah, the domination of Terry Silver. I think that's a good one. We'll have to save that for when we do the season recap.
I know. I'm with you though, Drew. I secretly hope he still kind of wins at the end.
Yeah.
September 9th, guys. So all of you who are watching right now, you may not have seen it, but we did a live stream marathon on the lead up to season 4, where we just went for 5 or 6 hours all the way up to the release of season 4. Drew, shall we announce? We're going to do the same thing again this year. So on September 8th, and I don't know how long we'll go this year, but it will be a live marathon where we'll hang out, maybe drink some Coors Banquets. We'll just talk the series because we're going to want to pass time waiting for this to happen. So it'll just be basically a big party. So all of you are invited to this. Everyone watching now is invited to this live stream on September 8th. Watch my channel, subscribe, so you get more info. Looking forward to that. Okay, so here we go. This is the last 2 shots. Chozen is bringing out the side.
There we go. Yeah.
Isn't
That's the
that
shot I was
awesome?
thinking about. Yeah, because someone put that in the chat. Thanks for saying that, because I forgot it was him with the size, and then you
Yes.
got Sam with them too. So I don't know if there's a connection there, but I love that shirt. I gotta I gotta find that shirt somewhere. It's just such a great shirt.
Yeah, I love that shirt. That's incredible. And then of course we get this is kind of a funny moment, and he's saying, "Hey, whoa, no, I didn't mean you literally cut his head off."
I love the dynamic between the two of them, because Daniel's so serious, and like we said, maybe Chosen will be the one to make him be a little less stuffy, because you already kind of saw that when he was with him in Japan and all that, and it was a cool like sequence of events. But I'm so glad that he's back. I can't wait to see the dynamic between these two, and it's almost like a different shade of the Johnny thing, and I like that. I'm looking forward to seeing them interact more.
Yeah, me too. I know. I hope we get a chance for Chosen to really shine.
Yeah,
I that's another series I would watch, a Chosen series. Like
yeah.
that would be absolutely incredible. Bruce says, "Don't add oil to the fire."
That's a good point.
That's funny. Chosen is acting like Johnny in a way, but more extreme.
That's a good point. He kind of is, and he's so serious too about it. Like, I don't know. I like how reserved he is, but he's also, and that's one of the coolest parts about Chosen as a character. I hope he doesn't-
Jeez, you saw it here first.
I hope he doesn't kill Daniel. But no, I love the character of Chosen too, and I think he doesn't get enough credit as well. Like, I'm sitting here gushing over Thomas Ian Griffith, but the character of Chosen and the actor and the portrayal is pretty awesome, and I think this is a good opportunity for him to show what he's all about too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for everyone who maybe hasn't seen the original movies, Karate Kid 2, if you're watching this and you haven't seen them, go and watch them. I know everyone talks about Karate Kid 1, but check out the sequels too. Karate Kid 2, and you'll get to know all about Chozen and Kumiko and that whole backstory. And then also Karate Kid 3, which, Drew, I think that's it. That's the last shot. So we've gone through the trailer. Karate Kid 3, from everything we've seen, has now cemented itself, I think, as important to the lore of this series, maybe more so, I don't know, than Karate Kid 1. Like, it is vital, I think, that everyone needs to watch Karate Kid 3.
Yeah.
It's raised the importance of that movie to a new height. Are you excited about that?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. Because when we did the live stream and when we did the other stuff, we always talk about the actors sort of distancing themselves from that. And maybe you could say, oh, this is the writers or whatever trying to make right from wrong. And people would say that. But 3 is a great movie. And I'm going to say it again. It's a great movie. I get that it's not what maybe people wanted. And when you think about how it came together and how it was sort of gasoline on a fire in itself, like, it's so awesome. And it's a great movie. It gave us Terry Silver as a villain. And we can say that he's a cheesy business mogul and all that, but that's what those movies were about back then. And,
Right.
I love 3, and I'm glad that it's getting the respect in a way that it deserves. And I think you can see, like, the big 3, they're clearly fans of Terry Silver, and
Yes.
you get that steam, the steam room, the sauna scene, and
Right.
that just shows you, right? Like, they know what they're
Yes.
doing with that shot, and putting that in the
Yes.
trailer. It's a little like wink and a nod at the fans. So I'm just glad that 3 it seems like it's getting the respect that it starts to deserve. And I'm glad that now people can go back and watch it. And if there was new people that discovered Terry Silver this past season, I hope that they all go back and watch and see, Thomas Ian Griffith in his heyday, his first big film, really.
Right.
So
It was.
amazing
Yes.
performance.
It really is an amazing performance. And, we've talked about that before. As you've said many times, he put on a clinic. Like,
He
it was
did.
really, really, really fantastic. I'm so happy you guys really love the show. It's really cool. And so, Drew, we've reached the end of, like, just the individual scenes. We kind of reminded people to watch for things that we didn't see in the trailer. So I was wondering if we could kind of look at it from a big level perspective. And so what didn't we see?
We definitely didn't see Kreese. I think the last we saw, he was getting hauled away in the back of a police car. So whether he went to jail or not, we don't know. We assume that he did, or maybe he got out on bail. I don't know. We didn't see Mike Barnes, and I kind of hope we don't, because I really would like that to be a nice little surprise, even though everyone's kind of expecting it.
Right.
I don't think I'd want that like telegraphed in a trailer or something, I think it would
Yes.
be nice to see it happen. Sort of like the phone call, like we didn't know who that was, and then I
Right.
guess the trailer, but the way that they revealed Terry before season 4 was awesome.
Yes.
So we didn't see Barnes, we didn't see Kreese, we didn't really see, we didn't see Cheyenne. We didn't see her. I don't know what she's doing, if that mindfulness app is still doing well.
Exactly.
You know, we haven't seen, I guess, we didn't see the Kenny's brother or any of the guys in juvenile detention. We didn't see a lot of the other students from Eagle Fang and Miyagi-Do. Hawk, like we saw, I guess, with a little side shot there. We didn't see Eli, or we didn't see any of the other characters there as well.
Dimitri.
So Dimitri, I'm curious, like where they are in the context of this, but I don't know. I have mixed feelings on trailers and stuff. Like, I'm glad that I watched this, but when like, for example, the movie that just came out, Batman.
Yes.
I made a point to like not watch a lot of the trailers, and I was glad that I didn't, because it gave the entire thing away. This is fun, and I like breaking this down, but at a certain point, it's like if they put too much in, I like this. It's intriguing, and they teased a lot of things. So I don't know if you feel the same.
I do feel the same. And it's something that I noticed last season with the season 4 trailers. I think pretty much everything that was in those trailers for this series was in the first stretch of episodes.
Yeah.
I don't think that they showed anything from the later season in any of the trailers. So if they keep doing that this time, then you could say that we've just seen basically what might happen in the first, I don't know, 4 or 5 episodes tops. So we may have no clue what's going to be going on the second half of the season. And I hope I hope that's the case, you know, because that means we can watch all this stuff and analyze it, but we're not really spoiling anything.
Right.
And we can preserve that. I have purposely avoided trailers like the Batman trailer. I haven't seen it, but thank you for letting me know that
the trailer.
Yeah, don't watch it. Yeah, everyone, don't watch if you haven't seen the movie.
Especially the last one. It's good to go in blind, and I think and I've seen a lot, right? And I'm not as familiar with like the actual marketing business side of you know, filmmaking and stuff, but I know that a lot of times the directors are not involved in from a movie standpoint. I don't know if TV shows are a little bit different, but the movie side of things, marketing departments will cut these trailers, and they don't always have a say. And I think there was a Terminator, one of the more recent Terminator movies that came out, the director was on record of saying, because there was a major twist that was in the movie that was revealed in the trailer. And I remember, I think I was watching Avengers or something, and they said, hey, if you're interested in seeing this Terminator movie, do not watch the trailer while I'm sitting watching the movie and they show it. So I hope that they don't do like those major twists. Like if Barnes comes back, like let's leave it off. You know, I want to see it live when it happens. So I like the less is more, as some folks have said in the trailer, in the chat.
And NASA says Netflix clearly did better than YouTube with the trailers, and they really have done a great job with these trailers. So, so Drew, kind of summing everything up, do you think there are any like major predictions or takeaways or new bits of information that we can glean from all this crazy analysis we just did?
I think there's a lot of like Peter's theory. Definitely I was thinking about that a lot. Now I'm going to be thinking about that, but I think the big piece is we saw that Terry's definitely propelled himself into success, and as he's been able to go maybe from this winning the tournament, it looks like he's been able to, you know, really fulfill his dream. And I think that's a cool aspect of it. I think we expected that to happen. So I don't know that how much we were or weren't, but I don't think that there was anything shocking that I saw that was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I think we expected them to be in Mexico. We expected, you know, Terry to be on top. So for me, it was a good level of, I think, intrigue, but nothing that spoiled anything for me. I don't know if you feel differently.
Yeah, I think it pointed to some interesting possibilities. Like we have maybe Chozen and Daniel teaming up to open rival dojos. That's one thing. We potentially might have some kind of Torri, Kreese, Mike Barnes connection. Maybe.
Yep.
We don't know. But they've really kept quiet on Kreese being in prison or going to jail, or even if he did, or what happened with that. And I think we are going to see team ups. So that's great. Daniel and Chozen. And hopefully once we get past the fights, we can see Miguel team up with Robbie, and we can see Johnny team up with Daniel, just wholeheartedly, you know, without reservation. And actually, I don't know, it's possible that Peter might be here on the stream. Hang on, let me see if I can bring him in. He might be back. So hey,
there he is. Yeah.
Good to see you. So
he's a trooper.
popping right in. My goodness, guys, thank you everyone for watching. Peter was with us an hour or two ago. Actually, we've been going almost 3 hours. Unbelievably, this is almost a marathon. And so we're about to wrap up here. But Peter, thanks for joining us. Can you give us your final thoughts just on the trailer, like what you learned, what we could glean from it?
Yeah, again, this is Peter coming from the streets here. Yeah, I've been enjoying everything you guys. Yeah, no, I've been enjoying everything you guys have been saying, and some of the things you guys have been saying, like I was like, oh my god, I hope people go and check out our breakdown, because there was some very similar things you guys were talking about. The gentleman that puts his hand behind Miguel's back, like that seems very paternal. You know, like I think that you know, that is potentially his father. We learned that, you know, he was a bad guy, and Miguel's game face. Carmen talked about his game face in season 2. This is something that she has seen before, so she just doesn't. She hopes that he never meets his father, so he doesn't follow down that path. So I like what you guys were talking about, like, is Miguel gonna fight? You know, so that's where we started kind of talking about like these 80s movies where we saw like in Lionheart and all these things. But you know, I kind of, and I don't remember if I said this on your guys' stream, but I mentioned how this first trailer I feel was a little pedestrian. Like it gave us all the beats that we kind of expected. Those reveals, you know, possibly the Mike Barnes, like that stuff, like if it happens, it's going to be in that next trailer is what I'm thinking. So I'm really excited to kind of see that happen. But also you guys gave me another thought to add to that theory. Like if Terry is talking to Daniel, maybe in that steam room, it's like, I told you not to play with fire, you know, like I like the idea of him going after Sam, who is conflicted between both sides. Right. And so he's like, well, I told you not to play with fire. You saw what happened with Chozen. Now I got my hooks in and your daughter. What are you going to do about it? You got nobody. You got nobody to back you up. Johnny's in Mexico with his 2 sons. Yeah. Whom one of them he kidnapped. So, yes. That's kind of my final thoughts. I you know, Ken, thanks for inviting me on, because yeah, it just kind of gave me like more insight even, you know, like I feel when something like this drops, we just get so excited and we want to start talking about it immediately. But the more we talk about it, the more insights we get, the more ideas we start to kind of form in our own minds too. Like I, after listening to you guys after jumping off, I was like, you know, maybe I do make a video. You know, maybe I make like my first theory video based on that. Just talking with you guys, you know. Do it. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I feel like there might have been something else that crossed my mind, but I'll maybe go back at some point and re-listen to this again and jot some notes down. It's difficult to be on the clock and you know, and all
yeah,
that,
absolutely. Thanks for joining us on the road too. That's
dedication.
That's awesome. Yeah,
I know. I was like, oh, they're wrapping up. Let's see if Ken brings me back in. You know, like you know, just to kind of give my few thoughts. But if you guys didn't see, subscribing is free, so do that for Ken. You know, the best in the biz. Has brought nothing but the greatest of content. And Drew, I don't know if you heard the story I was telling Ken. I was like, you know, when I reached out to you about Paley Fest, like, you know, it was more so because of like, I've seen enough videos where I'm like, you know, Ken would be a great guy to reach out to in terms of the production. But oh my God, after we came back from Paley, I had no idea how big of a fan he was of Tig and how fitting it was for him to join me at the red carpet and then meet Tig. So yeah, it was just one of those things that was kind of serendipitous, you know, like, so cool. You know, I think we've all heard that expression, like the world works in mysterious ways. And like, you know, hearing, I don't know if Dave's still tuning in, but like, Ken, when you put out that video and I was addressing my live stream and Dave, you know, like he had just met me minutes ago and this guy's great. Like, you know, like you guys only saw a sliver of me and already had like this great like opinion or like very positive opinion on me. So I think, you know, we're all in this fandom, you know, playing in this big sandbox, man. Everybody's welcome. You have that passion, you know, just you know, just bring it. It's all about the positivity and good vibes, you know. I'm always down to like collaborate with people with good vibes and stuff like that. Like, you know, I really, you know, kind of feed off you guys' energy. And so Ken, you know, you are getting like firsthand at it too. Like, oh, Peter texting again, or Peter's calling, you know, like, I feel like I'm starting to blow up your phone a little bit. Amber might start wondering, well, like, what's going on over there?
Well, and for everyone who hasn't seen it yet, Peter here from Cobra Kai Companion Podcast, he covered Paley Fest on the red carpet, has all these videos. You need to go over to his channel and see all these videos. And I helped cover with Dave Srock, who was on here before, but I had this great opportunity to meet Thomas Ian Griffith. So I put a whole video together about it. And Peter kind of gave me a great birthday present and pointed me out to him. Check out that video, guys, if you're a Thomas Ian Griffith fan or Terry Silver fan, and you'll see he's just a super cool guy. So thank you, Peter.
And
go ahead.
No, my connection's probably cutting out a little bit. I'll say this and I'll go. Earlier when I was on the stream, I mentioned that Thomas tweeted at Brianna.
Yes.
So last night Thomas tweeted something about BYOB, bring your own bandages.
I saw that.
Yes.
And so Brianna said, Tig, I love you, but my money's on Chozen or something like that. And so his response was something like, you should put your money on a winner, Brianna. Stuff like that. Then he, dash Terry Silver. So he's
awesome.
like Terry Silver responding. Yes. So everyone's kind of in the tweets right now, like, what's going on? And I tweeted a GIF of like somebody eating popcorn, like, ooh, this is juicy.
Right.
So Thomas is having fun on Twitter right now. If you guys want to go out there and maybe he'll reply too. So
that's awesome.
That's great.
A lot of fun.
That's great. Yeah. Hey, Peter, thanks for joining us today and lending your insights.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Peter.
We'll see you, everyone.
So you guys close it off.
Okay.
Take it easy, Peter.
I'll see you guys later. Right,
bye, Peter. Peter's from Cobra Kai Companion Podcast. His info's down in the description. Love to have him on. So Drew, I think we're kind of getting to the point where we're wrapping this up for today. Really, I've enjoyed. Thank you guys for all the great the Terry Silver Psychopath. Thank you very much.
That's a great video.
I love this idea. Ken's going to make a cameo eventually. Well, my goodness, that's a great thought. Call it Ken Burkai or something. That's really funny. One thing I have to point out, as I do every time, if you've just joined this lately, is that Drew, who I'm speaking with right now, is co-host of the Last Row podcast. And this podcast has such an entertaining insight into all these movies. I think you said it best, Drew, that you forgot you loved. And so that's what this whole podcast is about. That information is in the description. The Last Row podcast. He hosts it with Kevin Badway. I was very honored to be a special guest on a Terry Silver episode. Yes. But they've done, I think, at least 3 episodes on Terry Silver, and they do all these other movies. It sounds like Big is going to be the next movie with Tom Hanks. And so, Drew, do you want to say something about the Last Row podcast and why everyone watching now should now hop over and listen to the Last Row podcast?
Thank you. If you're a fan of Karate Kid 3, we did an analysis back in the day. We did a review of the episode. It was called The Ballad of Terry Silver, and this was before Cobra Kai existed. So we took it in ways that we didn't know where the story was going to go, but we always have fun thinking about what happens behind the scenes, not only from the movie, but from the character's perspective. So we do a lot of 80s and 90s movies. I grew up in the 80s and 90s, so I have a soft spot for all those movies. And basically, we have fun with it. We try to watch the movies and talk about what is not part of the plot or the things behind the scenes of the plot. So we have a pretty extensive back catalog. I forgot what episode we're up to. It's over 100 at least. But definitely check it out. And, thanks, Ken, for being a guest on the show before. We've done a couple bonus episodes on Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
In addition to the Terry Silver episode. We'll probably do another one when the new season comes out. But
that'd be great.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for letting me talk about the show a little bit too. So I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And thank all of you guys. Thanks for your comments. And if we didn't get to your comment, we tried. So many great comments today. Please come back for future KenCasts. Go ahead and hit subscribe. It helps this channel grow. We're trying to get to, someone said 50,000. That's great. If we hit 20,000 subscribers, that would be fantastic. It's totally free to subscribe, and you'll just see more content like this in the future. We're going to try to do KenCast very regularly, on and cover all kinds of things leading up to the show. But definitely check out the Last Row podcast. Vincent asks, will you continue to do breakdowns, reviews in the season 4 episodes? They're really interesting. Well, Vincent, thank you very much. And I'll take this opportunity to answer this question because those were fun to do. I really enjoyed doing those. I got the sense, though, that people didn't want to see those as much, like the viewership numbers weren't as high. So I figured I might want to just spend my time making other videos that people would want to see. But if you like them, then maybe I'll have to get back into them, and maybe in the run up to season 5, we'll go back and reflect on those episodes in season 4. So thank you, Vincent. I appreciate that. The Goonies or Breakfast Club series would be great.
Amazing movies.
Have you done these on Last
No,
Row?
The Goonies always been on our list, and we haven't done that one yet. And Breakfast Club we haven't done either. But Goonies is such a good movie, and I grew up watching that. I mean, these are the types of movies that we would do. So it's perfect for our show, but we haven't done that one. So definitely, we'll have to add that one to the list for sure.
Absolutely. And again, thank you. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Thank
Blixing
you.
says, how many subs are you wanting to reach right now? The next goal would be 20,000. But that, and with all your support, I think we can get there. So thank you very much. Drew, do you have any we've gone over 3 hours. So this is actually 3/5 the length of our New Year's marathon. We've gone I thought this was going to be an hour and a half, guys. For everyone who's watched this whole thing, you're amazing. And for everyone who's watched even just a little bit, you're amazing.
Yeah.
So thank you, Drew. How would you wrap up everything today if you have final thoughts?
First, I would say thank you to you for having me on, and thanks for Peter too for always connecting. Peter's awesome, but thanks Ken for having me on the show. I love coming on the KenCast. I've been a huge fan of your channel since before I've been on here, so I feel honored every time I'm on here. And you have such an amazing audience. The people in the chat, thank you everyone for being so engaged. It's great to see your comments and your insight. I just love connecting with people in this community and the fandom. So having said that, thank you again. But in general, I'm really excited for this new season. I didn't think we'd be getting it so soon. I kind of hoped that we would, but man, I'm just really excited, and I can't wait for September. I'm excited to see where it goes. Right now, I know Terry Silver hasn't lost, so for me, I'm still excited, and I'm excited to see Thomas Ian Griffith to get another chance to reprise his character. It's always a treat every time we get to see it, so I don't want to take that for granted.
Very well said. Well, Drew, thank you so much for being on this epic kind of surprise KenCast today about the trailer. Always love to hear your comments. You put everything so well. Thank you for Peter. Thank you for joining us for a portion and lending your insights. And everyone, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, and keep it tuned here for more videos coming up and more KenCasts. So everyone, have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks.